Chapter 702. Zhao Feng will go and save the Cold Moon King. Please take the upcoming battle seriously. The golden-haired male's words made Zhao Feng feel slightly awkward, and he nodded in agreement. In the battle just now, he was just using the metallic turtle king to test out his spatial domain and the intent of the god Tribulation Lightning. Killing the enemy was secondary. Otherwise, Zhao Feng would have had a 70 to 80% chance of killing the metallic turtle king with the golden-haired male's help. Go and save the Cold Moon King. The golden-haired male turned into a streak of golden light and flew toward the ocean. Shua! The wings of wind and lightning on Zhao Feng's back fluttered, and he instantly caught up to the golden-haired male. Zhao Feng, you're fast. Go and save the Cold Moon King first. The golden-haired male panicked. He usually smiled calmly at the Cold Moon King, but in his heart, he admired her for a long time. He knew that Zhao Feng's wind-lightning inheritance was the fastest in the Song Ocean, and the latter's strength wasn't any weaker than his. Okay. Zhao Feng looked deeply at the golden-haired male with respect. Even though the golden-haired male had asked him to help, he wouldn't disappoint him. Although he had only joined the Cold Moon King for a short period of time, he would still do his best. Lightning wings wind flash. The giant wings of lightning were like a gust of wind as they flew across the limitless ocean. This speed instantly surpassed the golden-haired male. So fast, the golden-haired male was overjoyed. Even with his full speed as a domain-level king, he was still defeated. Zhao Feng, please. The golden-haired male looked at the lightning wings wind flash that was going further and further away. Tens of thousands of miles away, ships of all sizes intertwined with one another on the misty sea as an intense battle ensued. Cold Moon King, let's see how long you can last. A ruthless and domineering voice echoed across the heavens and earth as powerful, magnificent auras clashed with one another. In the air above the limitless ocean, the Cold Moon King's perfect figure flashed as she slashed out with her sword and blade, creating a bone-chilling whirlwind of swords and blades. The whirlwind of swords and sabers enveloped a radius of 10 li, slicing and shattering everything in its path, blocking the attacks from all directions. They saw a tall and burly man in dark armor, with black horns on his head, held a halberd in his hand and slashed out shocking ravines. Every time the halberd swung, the dark burning domain power erupted like a flash flood. Lord Dark Dragon King, martial prowess conquers the 18 corners. The pirates on the ground roared with vigor. The Dark Dragon King's bloodline and physique were extraordinary. Every time he swung his halberd, he would be able to suppress others. Cold Moon King, little girl, you should obediently become the Dark Dragon King's concubine. A wretched elder in linen robes swung a scarlet gold whip in his hand, creating countless dragon and snake images that wrapped around the Cold Moon King. This elder was a domain-level king, even though there was a gap between his battle power and the Cold Moon King and the Dark Dragon Kings. However, his crimson gold long whip was cunning and ruthless. It had rich combat experience and was especially good at assisting in trapping and killing. The Cold Moon King was a speed-type expert. However, her speed was greatly restricted by the elder in linen robes attacks. On the other hand, the Dark Dragon King was born with divine power and had a powerful bloodline. Every time he attacked, his power was overwhelming. In a head-on clash, the Cold Moon King was at a disadvantage and expended a lot of energy. Hee, Lord Dark Dragon King, don't worry. This Cold Moon King won't be able to last for long. She's been hit by my soft poison god fragrance, which targets the soul. Even peak-tier kings will be hit if they're not on guard. The elder in linen robes gave a wretched smile. He stared at the Cold Moon King's perfect figure and couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. What's going on? My body? Sweat appeared on the Cold Moon King's forehead, and she felt a numbness spread across her body. Despicable. She snickered coldly as she suppressed the soft poison god fragrance. But this expended even more energy. After fighting for the time it took to make tea, her breathing became rapid. Lord Cold Moon King. In the air, the middle-aged, bearded man had a worried expression. Hee. Your opponent is me. An enchanting, purple-robed, beautiful lady dressed in revealing clothes appeared. Her cultivation had reached the middle stage of empty god realm, and the outline of a space territory appeared around her. The middle-aged, bearded man gritted his teeth. It was hard for him to deal with the purple-robed woman, and he was on the defensive. How could he save the Cold Moon King? Bearded man, I suggest you just give up. The Cold Moon King has been hit by the soft poison god fragrance, and she'll be captured by the Dark Dragon King in the time it takes to make tea. The pirate kings of the pirate sacred land have been drooling over the Cold Moon King's beauty for a long time. The purple-robed woman used words to pressure the middle-aged bearded man as she attacked. The middle-aged bearded man's eyes burned as he gritted his teeth. Even if I lose, there's still hope when reinforcements arrive. The bearded man thought. Reinforcements? The purple-robed woman seemed to know what he was thinking and snickered. The metallic turtle king isn't easy to deal with. Even if your reinforcements arrive, it'll be too late. Metallic turtle king. The expression of the middle-aged, bearded man changed dramatically. He didn't expect the metallic turtle king to join the Dark Dragon King. The battle continued. The Cold Moon King's side was at a disadvantage. The battle power of the Dark Dragon King's side wasn't even as strong as the Dark Dragon King's side. The Dark Dragon King had planned this for a long time, and he had used a large force. Ding! Ding! Bam! The Cold Moon King waved her sword and blade, and her perfect figure flashed through the misty ocean. However, her figure was greatly restricted by the elder in linen clothes. Every time the Dark Dragon King attacked, his strength would suppress her, causing her arms to go numb. More importantly, the soft poison god fragrance weakened her battle power, and her speed and agility weren't as good as when she was at her peak. If it wasn't for that, even if she couldn't win, she would have a chance to retreat. The only way to escape was to wait for reinforcements. Half the time it took to make tea passed. The Cold Moon King's breathing quickened, and she was covered in sweat. Her limbs were numb. There was a bloody wound on her leg, revealing her snow-white and alluring leg muscles. I have to capture this woman alive. The greed in the Dark Dragon King's eyes wasn't concealed at all. It was only a matter of time before the Cold Moon King was captured. Shwa! A bolt of lightning suddenly flashed across the misty ocean. That's... The kings in battle all sensed it. A pair of wings of wind and lightning appeared in their vision, and they were closing in on the battlefield. Reinforcements are here. The middle-aged bearded man exclaimed in a low tone. The newcomer was Zhao Feng. However, the bearded man was also slightly disappointed. After all, Zhao Feng wasn't a domain-level king. Even if he joined in, he would only be able to turn the tide. He's fast, but he hasn't even reached the king level. Haha, another one has come to die. The pirates on the Dark Dragon King's side paused for a moment before revealing cruel expressions and laughing. Lightning wings, wind flash. Zhao Feng turned into a bolt of lightning and entered the battlefield as he scanned across the battlefield. He didn't immediately go to help the Cold Moon King. Shwa! The lightning wings shot towards the beautiful woman in purple like a bolt of lightning. The eyes of the middle-aged, bearded man lit up. If he could quickly finish off the female in purple, there would be hope for the two kings to help the Cold Moon King. Umph. The female in purple snickered coldly. Of course, she wouldn't let her opponent do as he wished. A purple whirlpool appeared around her. She had heard about Zhao Feng, the new pirate king. Even if he was lucky to be able to kill the Dark Snake King, he at least had some skill. At the same time, in the sky, the Dark Dragon King and the hemp-robed elder sped up their battle. Die! Zhao Feng was faster than expected. He arrived in front of the female in purple and condensed a scarlet destruction blade in his hand, and the aura of his scarlet destruction wind lightning reached its peak. The female in purple had a mocking expression. Her domain was already prepared. You want to finish me off quickly? No way. However, in the next instant, the female in purple's mind shook, and she exclaimed, Illusion Maze Domain, a layer of hazy mist, the illusion of the illusory city labyrinth, merged into the void of this world. The female in purple was dazed, and her senses were greatly affected. She couldn't see the trajectory of Zhao Feng's attack, so she panicked and revealed an opening. Shua, the Scarlet Destruction blade, slashed through the gap in the female in purple's domain. No one sensed it. The aura of God Tribulation lightning appeared on the Scarlet Destruction blade, and it reigned supreme over the power of heaven and earth. Ark, the beautiful woman, let out a shrill cry as she was sliced into two by the Crimson Destruction blade. Then, she was burned by the Crimson Destruction Tempest and turned into a pile of ashes. The Scarlet Destruction blade's power was extremely concentrated, and it contained the intent of God Tribulation lightning. Even the soul of the beautiful woman in purple robes had been burned and destroyed. Her soul had dispersed. What? The eyes of the middle-aged man with the big beard bulged out as he watched the female in purple die. In just one move, a king was killed. The expressions of both friend and foe changed dramatically. How was this possible? The Dark Dragon King and the Elder in Gray were also stunned. Shua, shua, a bolt of lightning shot into the air above the limitless ocean. So fast, the middle-aged man with the big beard had already lost sight of Zhao Feng. The instant he killed the female in purple, Zhao Feng didn't stop and charged toward the two kings in the air. Lightning strike! Watch out! The Dark Dragon King exclaimed. The streak of lightning headed straight for the Elder in the linen robes behind the Cold Moon King. The heart of the Elder in Gray shook, and he was just about to prepare when he felt a coldness spread through his body. Lightning wings, flying technique. The light from the lightning wings flashed with a sharp arc of lightning as it appeared out of nowhere and slashed at the old man in linen robes. Too fast. Before the Elder in Gray could react, his body was sliced in half by the Scarlet Destruction lightning wings. Zhao Feng didn't just use the lightning wings flying technique. He also used the wind lightning wings slash. Using the wings of wind and lightning as an attack was faster and more powerful. On top of that, Zhao Feng had merged the intent of God Tribulation lightning into the wind lightning wings slash, and it could kill both the physical and soul-type attacks. Ark, the Elder in Gray screamed as his body was destroyed. A faint golden figure could be seen in his injured Yuan soul, and it flew away under the control of King Intent. However, he hadn't even fled a few dozen kilometers when he felt an indescribable coldness and piercing pain, and he was locked onto by a strand of sharp aura that could conquer everything. Skylocking bow. A golden arrow of light condensed on the dark silver bow in Zhao Feng's hand, and it instantly shot through the limitless ocean. Bam! The golden arrow of light instantly pierced through the Elder's Yuan soul. Chapter 703. With a loud explosion, the Elder's Yuan soul shattered into thousands of pieces. The sky-locking bow was a nightmarish predator to these kings' sore souls that were trying to escape. Zhao Feng used the Dark Heart Seed to communicate with the Ghost Corpse ship that was about to arrive. The Ghost Corpse cursed array could absorb the shattered pieces of the king's soul and flesh, so there would still be some effect. At this moment, both friend and foe were stunned. The pirates on the Dark Dragon King's side looked at the youth with lightning wings in shock. The bearded man took in a cold breath. He had seen the entire process clearly. The moment Zhao Feng entered the battle, he killed the purple-robed female king. The moment he completed the killing, he disappeared from where he stood. Before the Elder could react, Zhao Feng used the lightning wings flying technique and wind lightning wings slash to destroy his physical body. The hemp-robed old man's origin soul had just escaped, and before he could even heave a sigh of relief, the sky-locking bow ended his life. The entire process was unbelievably fast. Many pirates from both sides were stunned, and the two kings were killed in just a moment. Such a quick battle caught the Dark Dragon King's side off guard. Brat, you're the one who killed Godfather. After a moment of shock, the Dark Dragon King's purple eyes were filled with hatred and murderous intent. So, the relationship between the Dark Dragon King and Dark Snake King wasn't normal. A long time ago, the Dark Dragon King had been a wandering orphan. Dark Snake King discovered his bloodline and raised him carefully. The Dark Dragon King didn't disappoint him, and several hundred years later, he became one of the pirate kings of the 18 Corners Sacred Land. Sky Locking Bow. Zhao Feng snickered coldly and pulled back the sky locking bow without thinking. A second golden arrow covered in scarlet destruction, wind, lightning instantly shot toward the Dark Dragon King. Although the Dark Dragon King tried to dodge, he was still hit. His spatial domain hadn't become physical, so it wasn't able to stop the sky locking bow. Shwa! A blood-colored arrow shot out from the Dark Dragon King's throat, and with a crack, the golden arrow shattered. What a powerful body and battle power. Zhao Feng couldn't help but be moved. The Dark Dragon King wasn't just a peak-tier king. His bloodline wasn't ordinary either. At this moment, ha! Kill! The bearded middle-aged man had the strength of a king. He swept through dozens of local pirates and charged forward. At the same time, Zhao Feng fired the third arrow from his sky-locking bow. The golden arrow flashed and pierced the Dark Dragon King's head. The Dark Dragon King groaned. Even with the protection of his domain and bloodline, he was still injured. Twin brilliance of the Cold Moon. The Cold Moon King swung her sword and saber. Sword light and saber light shot into the sky. They were as cold as the moon, twisting together and slashing toward the Dark Dragon King's body. Dang! The Dark Dragon King was attacked again and again, and he quickly retreated. A few cracks appeared on his dark armor, and it was covered in blood. What a powerful attack! Zhao Feng couldn't help but exclaim. Among the three pirate kings, the Cold Moon King was the fastest, and her single-target attacks were the strongest. At this moment, the bearded middle-aged man also joined in the attack on the Dark Dragon King. The Dark Dragon King was alone, but he was surrounded by three kings. The sky-locking bow uses too much energy. The dark silver bow in Zhao Feng's hand disappeared, and in its place was a scarlet destruction wind lightning whip that whipped toward the Dark Dragon King. The Dark Dragon King no longer had any king-level battle power next to him, and he was instantly at a disadvantage. Prepare to retreat. The Dark Dragon King gave the order to retreat while fighting. A while later, whoosh! A golden figure flashed through the air with the magnificent power of a king. It was the golden-haired male behind him, another domain-level king. The Dark Dragon King's expression was ashen as he retreated into the depths of the limitless ocean. Fortunately, the Cold Moon King's soft poison god fragrance started to take effect, and her battle power decreased. She couldn't give chase anymore. Zhao Feng also tried to give chase. You're courting death. However, the Dark Dragon King condensed his domain and slashed out with his halberd, causing a dark purple aura to explode. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Feng used his wings of wind and lightning to dodge, but he was still slightly injured by the power. The battle power of a peak-tier king couldn't be underestimated. Zhao Feng knew the difference. He had felt it when fighting the Cold Moon King. After all, he hadn't become a Void God Realm King yet, so his foundation wasn't strong enough. Whoosh! A Ghost Corpse ship arrived from behind and activated the Ghost Corpse cursed array to devour the remaining essence and souls of the kings. Zhao Feng, it's all thanks to you this time. A grateful expression appeared on the Cold Moon King's cold face. She gave the spoils of war of the two kings to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng didn't reject it. The golden-haired male's jaw dropped. Those two kings were both killed by Zhao Feng. When he arrived, the situation had already turned. He didn't expect Zhao Feng to kill two kings in such a short amount of time. After that, the pirates of the Cold Moon King's faction started to chase after them. The Pirate King's forces, including the Metallic Turtle King, were all killed. Because the Cold Moon King needed to dissolve the soft poison god fragrance, she didn't continue to chase after them. After this battle, the Cold Moon King's name spread across the 18 Corners pirate sacred land. The Cold Moon King had won the battle between the Pirate Kings. This had won her a lot of prestige. Within half a month, a domain-level king and 3 normal kings joined the Cold Moon King's faction. The Cold Moon King's faction expanded. At this moment, the Cold Moon King's faction had 4 Pirate King tokens. As long as they gathered another 5 Pirate King tokens, the Cold Moon King's faction would be able to open the Pirate Emperor's sacred land's inheritance. The Cold Moon King's pirate army started to expand. At this moment, Zhao Feng returned to the ghost ship, closed his eyes, and started to cultivate. After the battle, the potential within Zhao Feng's body was ignited, and he gained a lot of insights. Purple Soul C. Zhao Feng absorbed the power of the god Tribulation Lightning tirelessly. His Purple Soul C now contained 1 or 2 wisps of god Tribulation Lightning. However, this wisp of god Tribulation Lightning was extremely small compared to a Soul C of 1,000 yards wide. However, the amount of god Tribulation Lightning imprinted in his Soul C was more beneficial to Zhao Feng. He merged the laws of the god Tribulation Lightning into the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning. On this day, Zhao Feng entered the ancient dream realm once again. He gulped down some of the dreamland river water. It only had a slow, cleansing effect on his body, flesh, and even his soul. At the current stage, as long as the animals near the river didn't group up, Zhao Feng could easily deal with them. My next target is the forest on the other side of the grass. Zhao Feng's gaze turned toward the other side of the grass. There might be stronger beasts in the forest, and there might even be some fruits. A wisp of aura from the ancient dream realm was extremely beneficial to those at the true lord rank and sovereign rank. It could be predicted that the fruits here would be even more effective than the river water. Ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng slowly walked toward the forest. Of course, Zhao Feng wouldn't rush things, so he only walked a certain distance each day. After all, the real world wasn't stable. The Cold Moon King's forces were fighting everywhere and entering the center of the pirate sacred land. There were also some small missions that required Zhao Feng's ghost ship to go out. Normal missions were given to the child demigod and the skeletal division leader. However, even then, Zhao Feng had to give up on exploring the forest in the ancient dream realm. His focus was still on the wind lightning inheritance, especially the merging of the god Tribulation Lightning into it. On a certain day, the Cold Moon King suddenly called for an emergency meeting. The giant Shark King's forces are aggressively approaching our ship's sphere of influence. The bearded middle-aged man explained the situation. The giant Shark King was also one of the 3 pirate kings of the pirate sacred land. Not only that, the giant Shark King was the strongest among the 3 powerhouses. Zhao Feng knew some information about this person. The giant Shark King had the bloodline of an ancient shark, and his defense and battle power were outstanding. Until now, his forces had always been the strongest of the 3. However now, after defeating the Dark Dragon King, the Cold Moon King's strength had increased dramatically, and she could fight against the giant Shark King. Once this battle starts, it will be extremely intense. However, as long as we win, we'll be the rulers of the 18 Corners Sacred Land. The Cold Moon King's eyes scanned across the battlefield, and her tone was solemn and filled with battle intent. Kill the giant Shark King. Unify the 18 Corners Canyon. We've already defeated the Dark Dragon King. Let's kill the giant Shark King in one go. The middle-high level pirates within the hall were filled with battle intent. As pirates, which of them wasn't bloodthirsty and warlike? If they liked peace, they wouldn't have become void pirates. Zhao Feng sat in the crowd and was very close to the Cold Moon King. His status was comparable to domain-level kings. Next, the Cold Moon King started to order the pirate kings to attack the giant Shark King. Reporting, a pirate scout flew over and handed over a blade-shaped signal. Reporting, this is a token from the giant Shark King's side. The pirate scout said respectfully. The Cold Moon King took the blade-shaped signal and merged her divine sense into it. Everyone's gazes were locked onto the Cold Moon King, only to see. The Cold Moon King's expression changed, and she barked coldly, "Ridiculous! My lord, did the giant Shark King make some ridiculous request? Ignore him and fight." The experts of the pirates all clamored loudly. "No, the giant Shark King is teaming up with us." The Cold Moon King's expression was solemn. Teaming up? The giant Shark King's suggestion? All of the void pirates present were puzzled. Zhao Feng started to think. With the giant Shark King's strength, Why would he team up with the Cold Moon King? Logically speaking, the two sides would probably fight to the death for the Pirate Emperor's throne. We must agree to this suggestion. The Cold Moon King took a deep breath. Everyone felt the solemn atmosphere. What was the reason for a powerful existence like the Giant Shark King to suggest working together? The Giant Shark King has found some news. The Dark Dragon King invited an outsider Void God Realm Emperor to interfere in the battle for the Pirate Emperor's throne. The Cold Moon King's expression became cold. Humph. Hearing this, everyone was enraged. Preposterous. The Dark Dragon King broke the rules of the battle for the Pirate Emperor's throne. Everyone started to curse. Everyone was enraged. Under normal situations, outside kings and emperors wouldn't interfere in the battle for the Pirate Emperor's throne. This was because outside kings couldn't enter the Pirate Emperor's sacred land. Furthermore, inviting an outsider emperor to fight for the Pirate Emperor's throne was against the rules of the Pirate Emperor. According to the rules of the Pirate Emperor, the Dark Dragon King's actions will cause the entire pirate's sacred land to hunt him down. No wonder the Giant Shark King teamed up with us. The crowd of pirates began to denounce and condemn him. Void God Realm Emperor? The battle for the Pirate Emperor's throne has become more intense. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. Chapter 704. In the 18 Corners Canyon, the power of the Void Pirates was a large collective, a common country. The inheritance of the Pirate Emperor could be said to be a common resource of the pirate's sacred land. The rule of the battle for the Pirate Emperor was to exclude experts from the outside, especially those above the king rank. In reality, outside kings and emperors were unable to enter the Pirate Emperor's inheritance. Only a true pirate king could obtain some of the inheritance of the Pirate Emperor. An ordinary virtual god would not do something that would be strenuous and unrewarding to interfere with the battle for the pirate sovereign. Furthermore, colluding with the Void Pirates wasn't a good thing. Who is that Void God Realm Emperor? After a round of cursing and swearing, the pirates began to be concerned about a problem. Although the great emperors of the Empty God Realm were all at the great perfection Empty God Realm, there were differences in their strengths. If it was a peak emperor, it would be troublesome. However, normal peak martial monarchs would not lower themselves to do something like this. I heard that it's Emperor Mu Yun. The Cold Moon King said. Emperor Mu Yun? Some of the pirates present had heard of him before, while others didn't. So it's him. This Emperor Mu Yun is a new emperor that was born in the 10,000 Abyss Island zone in the past 100 years. He doesn't belong to any faction, and he's neither righteous nor evil. The bearded, middle-aged man murmured. Emperor Mu Yun didn't belong to any faction, and he was neither righteous nor evil. It was acceptable for him to help the Dark Dragon King. The atmosphere within the pirate hall was solemn, and it was dead silent. The pressure from a Void God Realm Emperor wasn't just a small amount. The Great Perfection Nihility God Realm was a transformation of the soul level. When it reached the next level of perfection, there would be a qualitative leap in strength. If not, Void God Realms wouldn't be divided into kings and emperors. We need to work together with the Giant Shark King to have a chance of fighting against an emperor. The Cold Moon King sighed. Pirate Hall. The upper echelon of the pirates didn't object. Maybe in the past, they had conflicts with the Giant Shark King's people. However, these were only internal conflicts. The Void God Realm Emperor was the true enemy. Within the limitless ocean, the forces of the Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King were 100 miles apart, and they slowly approached each other. Whoosh, whoosh. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King conversed with each other in the air. The Giant Shark King was tall, even taller than the Dark Dragon King. There was a horn on his head, and his skin was like a shell. This Giant Shark King's bloodline aura is close to the 10,000 ancient races. Zhao Feng sized it up from afar. The Giant Shark King was publicly acknowledged to be the strongest among the three heavyweights. This news came from my informant in the Dark Dragon King. It is definitely reliable. Giant Shark King said indifferently. In order to prevent any traps, the Cold Moon King sent scouts to gather information. The three major forces had more or less planted some spies in each other. The addition of a Void God Realm Emperor was no small matter. It was hard to hide. Half a day later, the Cold Moon King's heart sank after confirming the authenticity of the news. On the same day, the Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King formed an alliance, and they gathered the pirate kings of the 18 Corners Holy Land. The Dark Dragon King's actions were undoubtedly a betrayal to the pirate sacred land. The Giant Shark King had 2 domain-level kings and 5 normal kings. On his side, he had brought 4 Pirate King tokens. With the 2 of us teaming up, we have 8 Pirate King tokens. We only need 1 more to open the Pirate Emperor's sacred land. The Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King started to discuss. Because of the threat of a powerful enemy, the 2 of them were able to easily gather 8 Pirate King tokens by teaming up. 1 more isn't hard. The Giant Shark King smiled confidently. In the next few days, the elites of the Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King started to enter the depths of the 18 Corners Canyon. One after another, many pirate forces joined in. The Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King teamed up and fought against an emperor, winning the hearts of the people. Only 2 days later, the 9th Pirate King token joined the alliance. The 2 of them weren't satisfied with this, and they started to gather more Pirate King tokens. The Dark Dragon King's betrayal and the interference of an emperor went against the rules of the pirate's sacred land, causing many experts to join. On the 7th day after they teamed up, the 10th Pirate King token joined the alliance. The more Pirate King tokens there are, the more people can enter the sacred land. More importantly, even if we gather the remaining 8 Pirate King tokens, we won't be able to open the sacred land. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King stood side by side in the air. After obtaining the 10 Pirate King tokens, they had the upper hand. This was a sign of winning the hearts of the people. If the Dark Dragon King wanted to enter the pirate's sacred land, they would have to find their way. Let's go. The center of the 18 Corners. The majestic pirate ships of the 2 factions entered the center of the 18 Corners pirate holy land. The 18 Corners Canyon had a total of 18 corners. Every corner of the canyon was guarded by a pirate king. The center of the 18 Corners was where the pirate emperor's sacred land was. On the 10th day, the 2 of them entered the center of the 18 Corners with unprecedented strength. At this moment in time, the 2 of them had 12 Pirate King tokens, 7 domain-level kings, and almost 20 normal kings. However, there were still 2 peak-tier kings. Zhao Feng's ghost ship seemed extremely small compared to the other large ships. Over the last 10 days, Zhao Feng only occasionally attended meetings. He spent most of his time comprehending the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning and merging it into the God Tribulation Lightning. He paid attention to the peak battle power of the Pirate Alliance. The peak battle power of the Pirate Alliance, such as peak-tier kings, isn't enough, the child demigod said. He was also paying attention to the situation. Normal kings were unable to threaten emperors, and they were even in danger from the shockwaves of an emperor's battle. Only peak-tier kings or domain-level elites could cause trouble for emperors. However, the Pirate Alliance only had 2 peak-tier kings. Report: we found the Dark Dragon King's ship. The Dark Dragon King's forces are waiting at the center of the 18 Corners. The pirate scouts sent back news after news. The vast fleet of the Pirate Alliance finally stopped advancing. At the center of the 18 Corners, there was only a dark and ice-cold ship that was shaped like a giant dragon. It was deathly still, but it was emitting an extremely dangerous aura. This ship was the Dark Dragon warship. The Dark Dragon King only sent 1 warship? Looks like the Dark Dragon King has been abandoned. The Pirate Alliance broke out into discussion. At least in terms of numbers, the Pirate Alliance had the advantage. However, the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and some other pirate kings had solemn expressions. The weakest battle power within the Dark Dragon warship was a Sovereign Lord. Above them were Half-Step Kings and Void God Realm Kings. The Dark Dragon King had 6 Pirate King tokens, and 4 of them were domain-level kings. The entire Dark Dragon warship was filled with elites. There was no weakling. Therefore, the chi emitted by the Black Dragon ship was deathly silent and terrifying. It was extremely threatening, and its strength could easily wipe out a few normal 2-star sects. However, The scariest one was the Void God Realm Emperor. Within a secret hall on the Dark Dragon warship, Lord Mu Yun, as expected. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King have gathered more than 9 Pirate King tokens. However, they must open the Pirate Emperor's inheritance at the center of the 18 corners. The Dark Dragon King said respectfully. As a traitor, he knew that it would be very difficult for him to compete with the Pirate Alliance for Pirate King tokens. Even so, he managed to recruit a few Pirate King elites with his Void God Realm Emperor fame. Don't worry, this Emperor will kill the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the people who killed your foster father. However, you must fulfill your promise. Great Emperor Mu Yun was wearing a black and white robe, and he was sitting upright. Beads of sweat appeared on the Dark Dragon King's forehead. He had invited this Emperor Mu Yun with a huge sum of money. Furthermore, he swore an oath that after he became the Emperor of Pirates, he would give him an astronomical reward. Otherwise, how could he have invited Great Emperor Mu Yun? As long as I can become the Pirate Emperor and get my godfather's reward, everything is worth it. The Dark Dragon King's eyes were filled with determination. He had no way out, and Great Emperor Mu Yun was his only hope. Even though the Dark Dragon King's faction was inferior in terms of the number of kings, the Dark Dragon King's faction was inferior. However, no one doubted that a Void God Realm Emperor could turn the tables around. Lord, not good, the Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King are coming. Everyone outside started to panic. Outside the Dark Dragon warship, the Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King led 7 domain-level kings and almost 20 normal kings to surround the Dark Dragon warship. Surges of kings' intent caused the space around them to feel as if it had been sealed. Within the Dark Dragon warship, apart from Great Emperor Mu Yun, everyone else felt uneasy and felt suffocated. So many Void God Realm Kings had gathered here. Almost all the forces in the pirate sacred land had gathered here. Normally, the Pirate Kings were like a pile of loose sand. Only when they fought for the throne of the Emperor of Pirates would people understand how terrifying the power of the Pirate Kingdom was. Just a bunch of trash. A calm laugh sounded from within the Dark Dragon warship. Shwa. At some point in time, a man in a black and white robe had appeared in the sky above the sea of mist. In an instant, a surge of martial Monarch force filled the area within a few hundred li. A layer of dark red cloud light shrouded the sky and earth. The sun and moon were blocked, and heaven and earth started to twist. That kind of ability was like turning the clouds and the rain, covering the sky with one hand and ruling over the world. Boom! Boom! A heaven-shaking, earth-shaking rumble came from both the misty sea and the soul dimension. The hearts of the kings of the Pirate Alliance, who were the main force, shook. The magnificent power of normal kings was like paper in front of the magnificent power of an emperor, and they shattered. It was as if a giant rock had crashed into a bubble world. The difference in quality was like heaven and earth. The kings with weaker foundations felt their blood boil, and their hearts become heavy. Is this the power of an emperor? For many of the kings present, this was the first time they were facing an emperor. Everything within a radius of 1 or 200 miles was trapped in a prison-like dark red cloud. The dark red cloud moved like mist and clouds, as if it had a life of its own, constantly controlling the power of the world. The magnificent power of heaven and earth that the kings of the 2 alliances were using was suppressed and stripped away. This was a kind of suppression on the level of conception. Master, this Emperor Mu Yun doesn't have the battle power of an early-stage emperor. He's even slightly stronger than normal emperors. The child demigod had a solemn expression as he inspected the dark red clouds. What do you suggest? Zhao Feng was expressionless. The Pirate Alliance's chance of winning is probably less than 30%. I suggest that Master leave this whirlpool. Chapter 705. The Pirate Alliance's chances of winning aren't higher than 30%. I suggest that Master leave this whirlpool. The child demigod said solemnly. With Zhao Feng's speed and strength, it wouldn't be hard for him to run away in the chaos. Zhao Feng's thought spun, and he shook his head. This is a good chance to understand the strength of an emperor. Up until now, Zhao Feng hadn't fought with an emperor before. Emperor Mu Yun wasn't a peak emperor. If he didn't even have the courage to fight him, how could he face an emperor of death? Furthermore, since Zhao Feng had joined the Cold Moon King's side, he had to do his part and fulfill his promise. Boom! Zhao Feng's purple soul sea suddenly shook as a powerful intent locked onto it, and it faced a strong force. If it was someone below the Void God realm, their soul would have been shattered, and normal kings would have been severely injured. Emperor Mu Yun. Zhao Feng's heart went cold as he looked at Emperor Mu Yun in the center of the dark clouds. Just now, the intent that locked onto him and attacked him had come from Emperor Mu Yun. Emperor Mu Yun had locked onto Zhao Feng. At the same time, the Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King's bodies shook. In that instant, Emperor Mu Yun's intent locked onto the three of them and shook their souls. Master, this great Emperor Mu Yun left a mark on the three of you. The child demigod warned. Zhao Feng found that the Dark Dragon King had a cruel and hateful smile on his face. It was obvious. Zhao Feng was on the Dark Dragon King's must-kill list, so he had left a mark on him. This was because he had killed his godfather, the Dark Snake King. The Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King were strong opponents that stopped him from becoming the Pirate Emperor. As long as they were eliminated, no one would be able to threaten the Dark Dragon King's position. Emperor Mu Yun was slightly surprised as his gaze swept over Zhao Feng. His emperor intent just now hadn't been able to shatter this junior's soul. He also felt that Zhao Feng's soul aura was as condensed as a mountain of lightning. However, Emperor Mu Yun didn't think too much about it. There were too many talented people in the fan universe. Some of them had innately strong souls or incomparably firm wills that were hard to shake. In the 10,000 ancient races, there was a race that specialized in devouring souls to strengthen themselves. Everyone, be careful. Kings below the domain level should keep their distance from Emperor Mu Yun. The Cold Moon King and I, for domain-level kings, will stall Emperor Mu Yun for now. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King messaged. But at this moment, Great Emperor Mu Yun made his move. BZZ. The surrounding dark red clouds seemed to flow as if they were alive, isolating the world from the sun and moon, covering hundreds of kilometers. Emperor Mu Yun controlled the void to the greatest extent. The formless power of the world suppressed the pirate alliance and the many pirate kings. Die! Emperor Mu Yun gently raised his hand, and a huge dark red hand condensed in the sky. Strands of blood-red clouds floated around it as it descended from the sky. The giant dark red hand was accompanied by the surrounding dark red clouds. It was like a flowing cloud or mist, as if it represented the will of the universe. Not good. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King's hearts became heavy, and their breathing paused as they dodged. The giant dark red hand was targeting the two peak-tier kings. As long as they could kill these two peak-tier kings, the pirate alliance would crumble. Giant Shark Shadow. The Giant Shark King roared as he activated his bloodline, and the image of an ancient giant shark covered his body. With a wave of his hand, the Giant Shark Phantom unleashed an ancient, domineering power, along with the enormous shark blade on its head, slashed down viciously at the giant hand made of red clouds. Cold Moon unparalleled. The Cold Moon King's sword and blade clashed, and sword chi and blade light shot into the sky, forming a whirlpool of moonlight. The unstoppable cold light even shattered the nearby dark red clouds. Of course, even the two peak-tier kings could only dodge and block the giant dark red hand. They didn't dare to face it head-on. Boom, boom, boom. The giant dark red hand exploded after covering everything within a few hundred yards. The two peak-tier kings were sent flying. The two normal kings nearby weren't able to dodge in time and were instantly crushed into two puddles of blood. With a single palm strike, he instantly killed two ordinary kings. Some of the kings in the Pirate Alliance took in a cold breath. Kings that haven't condensed a spatial domain are just ants in front of an emperor. The child demigod murmured. It was obvious that he wasn't surprised at all. Zhao Feng's heart went numb. The strength of an emperor was just too terrifying. Dot. The normal kings quickly pulled away. Everyone, try to spread out. The Cold Moon King's sword and saber shone together as a cold sword light twisted together and slashed towards Emperor Mu Yun. A giant axe that was 20 yards long appeared in the giant Shark King's hand. It was a peak-tier, Earth-grade weapon. The giant axe contained the domain of a peak-tier king and the ancient power of the giant shark's shadow, causing space to tremble. Boom! Boom! The attacks of the two peak-tier kings landed on Emperor Mu Yun. Emperor Mu Yun laughed mockingly as he waved his hand, and a dense dark red light formed a large hole that absorbed the attacks of the two peak-tier kings. On top of that, the enormous hole formed by the dark red light resonated with the dark red cloud world around it, creating an enormous attractive force. Not good. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King were also pulled by the dark red hole. Whoosh! Whoosh! Right at this moment, a golden arrow surrounded by a layer of condensed scarlet lightning flashed and pierced toward Emperor Mu Yun. Emperor Mu Yun jumped up in fright. The golden arrow seemed to have locked onto his soul and seemed to be able to pierce through it. Even someone as strong as him wasn't able to dodge it. Furthermore, the golden arrow contained an aura of God tribulation that pressed toward his soul. He didn't dare to underestimate this arrow. In reality, this was the strongest arrow that Zhao Feng had used since obtaining the Skylocking Bow. Compared to 10 days ago, the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning was even stronger. It contained more than half the intent of God Tribulation Lightning. Whoosh! Emperor Mu Yun's body was surrounded by a corporeal, spatial illusory figure. The arrow's power was quickly worn down. After it hit Emperor Mu Yun, it immediately shattered. An emperor's little world and a spatial domain. Zhao Feng's heart shook. Although this arrow didn't pose any threat to Emperor Mu Yun, it solved the problem for the two peak-tier kings. Attacked together, the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other 4 domain-level kings all attacked Emperor Mu Yun at the same time. Emperor Mu Yun couldn't let his guard down when so many peak-tier and elite kings attacked at the same time. Boom! Boom! The Cold Rain King and the other elite kings clashed with Emperor Mu Yun, and heaven and earth seemed to shake. At the same time, the Dark Dragon King led the other pirate kings and started to fight against the Pirate Alliance. Kill! The Dark Dragon King held his halberd and was unstoppable. Normal kings weren't able to block him at all. Emperor Mu Yun suppressed the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other elite kings by himself. Unknowingly, the Dark Dragon King's strength was displayed. Brat. The Dark Dragon King licked his lips and looked at Zhao Feng with a cruel gaze. He charged toward Zhao Feng. Lightning wings wind flash. Zhao Feng spread his wings of wind and lightning and increased the distance between him and the Dark Dragon King. Without using his god's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng couldn't fight head-on against a peak-tier king. On the Dark Dragon King's side, there were still 4 domain-level kings and 2 elite normal kings. On the Pirate Alliance's side, apart from those who were tied down, there were still around 20 kings, including 3 domain-level kings. Just the Dark Dragon King alone had to tie down at least 2 to 3 domain-level kings. With the advantage in numbers, Zhao Feng's side wouldn't be at a disadvantage. In fact, they even had the advantage. However, Emperor Mu Yun easily suppressed the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other elite kings by himself. Furthermore, Emperor Mu Yun still had time to spare. If he attacked, he would be able to instantly kill an Alliance Pirate King. Once the Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King lost, even one of their peak-tier kings would die. Little Kuan Yun. Zhao Feng looked at the child demigod next to him and ordered, "Master, you want to?" The child demigod revealed a rare look of excitement. Shua. The child demigod was put into Zhao Feng's storage ring. Meow meow. Next, a silver-gray thieving cat holding an array flag appeared on the battlefield. Who Shua? Shua. The Ghost Corpse cursed array instantly covered everything within several miles. The Ghost Corpse cursed array had absorbed the essence and souls of some kings in the previous battle, and the power of the Ghost Corpse cursed array had reached a terrifying level. Meow meow. The little thieving cat controlled the ghost corpse cursed array and compressed it to a radius of a few dozen yards. Its mission was to absorb the essence and souls of the kings that had died in battle. Lightning wings flying technique. The wings of wind and lightning behind Zhao Feng's back fluttered, and he disappeared. In the next instant, a normal king was slain by Zhao Feng. With the lightning wings flying technique and the wind lightning wings slash, Zhao Feng could seamlessly kill his target. The instant the lightning wings flying technique reached the target, the wind lightning wings slash would be unleashed. The target wouldn't even be able to react, and even if they did, they wouldn't be able to dodge. In terms of speed, apart from emperors and a few peak tier kings, no one else could match up to Zhao Feng. The lightning wings flashed and killed another normal king. Instantly, only 4 domain-level kings were left on the Dark Dragon King's side, and they were surrounded by the pirate kings. Emperor Mu Yun's eyebrows furrowed. He couldn't let the Dark Dragon King fall into danger. Great Emperor Mu Yun's palm slammed down from afar, killing 2 normal kings and injuring another. Of course, Emperor Mu Yun also wanted to kill Zhao Feng, but Zhao Feng's lightning wings secret technique was too profound and had the ability to break through space. Thinking back to the past, the Wind Lightning Emperor had even escaped from mystic light realm sacred lore before. At the same time, in the air above the misty ocean of the 10,000 Abyss Island Zone, a giant, cold, metallic ship passed through the limitless ocean and radiated an aura of death. Wherever the ship of death passed, the nearby beasts would tremble and suffocate. The 18 Corners Pirate's sacred land is up ahead. A gentle young man with a sunny face looked ahead. According to our analysis, this area is where Zhao Feng might have escaped to. A voice that was filled with yin and yang came from a death spirit lord wearing an yin-yang mask. The warm youth, Wenlan, looked at the leader of the 4 death spirit lords, the yin-yang lord, with respect. Chapter 706. Myriad Abyss Cluster, the center of the 18 Corners. This was a chaotic battle between kings. The sky, the earth, the sun, and the moon were enveloped by dark clouds and red light, isolating them from the rest of the world. Bang! Rumble! Emperor Mu Yun was calm as he suppressed the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other elite kings. When he occasionally attacked, the magnificent power of heaven and earth was enough to kill a nearby king. The normal kings didn't even have the time to dodge, and they pulled away from Emperor Mu Yun. The Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other elite kings fell into a tough battle. After fighting for a while, the 6 kings were all injured, and one of the domain-level kings was heavily injured. If it wasn't for the Cold Moon King's powerful attacks and the Giant Shark King's ancient shark bloodline, these domain-level kings would have been killed long ago. Whether we can win or not depends on Zhao Feng. The Cold Moon King held on bitterly as she flew through the air. The Giant Shark King had the Giant Shark bloodline, a powerful physique, and immense strength. He was the only meat shield that could resist Emperor Mu Yun head-on. However, this was all temporary. The 2 peak-tier kings had both used secret techniques to increase their battle power, but the consumption was too great. The hope of victory was the human wave tactic. If Zhao Feng's side could quickly finish off the Dark Dragon King and the other kings, they would have a chance of winning if all the kings ganged up on an emperor. Zhao Feng also knew that the key to victory was here. There were many kings on their side, and they would definitely be able to suppress the Dark Dragon King and the others. The key was time. There are still 4 domain-level kings on the Dark Dragon King's side. Zhao Feng's eyes flickered. As for the other 2 normal kings, one had been killed by Zhao Feng, and the other had fallen in the chaotic battle. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved the array flag. The energies of both sides were absorbed by the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array. In just a short period of time, the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array had absorbed the essence and souls of 5 or 6 kings, and its power had increased tremendously. The energy of a Void God Realm King was a great supplement for the cursed ghost corpses. The king's soul turned into resentment energy, which was even stronger. Over the past few days, The cultivation of the cursed ghost corpses had reached the middle stage, small, origin core realm. Furthermore, the body of the cursed ghost corpses was extremely strong, far surpassing the small, origin core realm. After absorbing the essence of 5 or 6 kings, some of the cursed ghost corpses' auras were approaching the late stage, small, origin core realm. Fantasy, Maze Domain. Zhao Feng joined the battle of the domain realm kings, and a layer of illusion, maze, merged into the air. This soul, Dao, domain instantly made the domain-level kings lose focus, and their senses went haywire, causing them to reveal flaws. One of the domain-level kings was instantly killed by several kings. Another domain-level king was injured and tried to escape. However, he had only flown a few miles before he was killed by a golden arrow. Meow meow. The little thieving cat controlled the ghost corpse cursed array and swiftly devoured the essence and souls of the 2 kings. Domain-level kings were even more effective in nourishing the cursed ghost corpses. At this moment, the power of the ghost corpse cursed array had reached a terrifying level, and even normal kings had to avoid it. On top of that, the power of the ghost corpse cursed array could form a strong shield, and normal kings wouldn't need to fear it. Ha ha, this feels good. Kill the Dark Dragon King. The kings of the Pirate Alliance were having a good time. At this moment, the Dark Dragon King still had 2 domain-level kings left, and they were heavily injured. At this rate, the Dark Dragon King and company wouldn't be able to last more than a dozen breaths. The situation isn't good. That brat. The Dark Dragon King's gaze was filled with hatred as he looked at Zhao Feng. However, Zhao Feng's wings of wind and lightning were extremely fast. If he really wanted to run away, none of the kings present would be able to catch up. The situation was turning around quickly, and Emperor Mu Yun's expression changed slightly. He could tell that Zhao Feng's existence greatly affected the situation. Brat die. Emperor Mu Yun waved his arms, and a dark red gust of wind pushed the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and company back several miles. Immediately thereafter, he flew toward Great Emperor Mu Yun, and the powerful will of a great emperor rushed into the sky. Boom! Zhao Feng felt his soul shake slightly. If it was a normal king, they would be severely injured even if they didn't die. However, Zhao Feng's soul was already stronger than normal kings after his god spiritual eye had awakened. Adding on the cleansing of the dream, realm, river, and god tribulation lightning, as well as the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, his soul had become even stronger. During this period of time, Zhao Feng's soul had become even stronger, and it was comparable to a peak tier king. However, it was still a bit weaker than an emperor. Lightning Wings Wind Flash. Zhao Feng circulated the Lightning Wings secret technique and turned into a streak of lightning. He didn't panic even though he was being chased by an emperor. The Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other elites would also try their best to stop Emperor Mu Yun. However, if an emperor wanted to escape, they wouldn't be able to stop him. At most, they would be able to slow him down. An emperor is going to personally kill a junior at the Origin Core realm? The Cold Moon King snickered coldly. Emperor Mu Yun snickered coldly as he continued to chase after Zhao Feng. Although Zhao Feng was fast, Emperor Mu Yun was still able to catch up. Zhao Feng, watch out! The Cold Moon King, the golden-haired male, and company exclaimed. In their vision, the lightning-winged youth was neither fast nor slow. Little Kuan Yun, let's see how you perform, Zhao Feng said. As soon as he said this, a shocking intent that could reverse heaven and earth shot across the sky. In terms of quantity, this intent wasn't as strong as an emperor's, but in terms of quality and compatibility with heaven and earth, it wasn't any weaker than an emperor's. What? That's... Emperor Mu Yun's heart trembled. Shua, a golden-skinned child of 2 or 3 years of age, appeared next to Zhao Feng, shrouded in brilliant, magnificent power. It was the child demigod. Boom! The child demigod punched out, and his magnificent power was even slightly stronger than an emperor's. The golden fist light was as resplendent as the blazing sun. Its momentum was like a rainbow, piercing through the heavens and the earth. It had a domineering aura that could overturn everything. An injured domain-level king had just managed to escape when he was blasted apart by the fist. Ha! After fusing with the will of a demigod, things are indeed different. The child demigod was overjoyed. This little child, both sides sucked in a breath of cold air. Even though the earlier punch was a sneak attack, its might, especially its state, was boundlessly vast. Even Emperor Mu Yun was shocked. Even he couldn't see through Lin Fan's fist intent. In this way, there was only one domain-level king left beside the Dark Dragon King, and the two of them were surrounded by more than a dozen kings. Heaven's sealing palm. The child demigod stood in front of Zhao Feng and pushed out a few palms. In that instant, the surrounding heavens and earth seemed to have fallen into a swamp, and there was even the illusion of time being slowed down. Boom! Boom! Several golden palms twisted and sank into heaven and earth, crashing into Emperor Mu Yun. Emperor Mu Yun's speed and movement instantly froze. Even though the child demigod's battle power wasn't enough to truly threaten him, he was confident in his own abilities. It's the legendary Heaven Sealing Palm. However, his intent and Monarch force were restricted and shackled by an unknown force. After merging with the will of a demigod, the child demigod's memories and soul power recovered, and he could use the simplified version of the Heaven Sealing Palm. On top of that, the child demigod cultivation had also reached the peak Great Origin Core Realm. The position of a king was right in front of him. The demigod revival plan didn't go to waste. Zhao Feng nodded his head. The battle power of the child demigod was close to that of a peak-tier king, and his intent suppressed most void god realms. Kill. The Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and the other kings were overjoyed as they charged toward Emperor Mu Yun. Emperor Mu Yun's intent and speed were all restricted by the Heaven Sealing Palm, and his speed was reduced. How dare you? Where did that child demigod come from? Emperor Mu Yun was stunned. If that child demigod's cultivation was also at the emperor level, he would be able to crush him. This was the first time Emperor Mu Yun was at a slight disadvantage. The demigod Kuan Yin was a legendary figure from dozens of thousands of years ago. Even some emperors from the true martial sacred land wouldn't be able to recognize him now. Lightning Wings Flying Technique. Zhao Feng used the Lightning Wings secret technique and quickly arrived next to the Dark Dragon King. He then used the Wind Lightning Wings Slash and merged the power of God Tribulation Lightning into it. Run! The Dark Dragon King was already injured, and the domain-level king was surrounded by 5 or 6 kings. Now, the Dark Dragon King was the only king left. Skylocking Bow. A golden arrow condensed on the dark silver bow in Zhao Feng's hand, and it shot through a part of the limitless ocean with a Chiao. In the next instant, the golden arrow was surrounded by a layer of scarlet-colored lightning and God Tribulation lightning as it pierced through the Dark Dragon King's shoulder. The Dark Dragon King was heavily injured, and he stumbled as blood leaked out of his mouth. Luckily, he had already escaped from the encirclement of Zhao Feng and company. Right at this moment, a thick layer of dark gray, flaming clouds appeared in front of him and quickly expanded to a radius of 10 to 20 miles. What? The Dark Dragon King's injured body started to leak out of his body. Because he had many wounds on his body, the corrosive power of the ghost corpse hatred was several times stronger than normal. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved the array flag, and the flaming clouds formed dragons and snakes that wrapped around the Dark Dragon King. Thieving cat, die! The Dark Dragon King was enraged. Since the start of the battle, he had been surrounded by many kings, and his secret techniques were only able to stall for time. Meow! The little thieving cat disappeared within the ghost corpse array. Even with the Dark Dragon King's powerful divine sense, he couldn't find the little thieving cat. At the same time, the grand ghost corpse formation was rapidly binding and absorbing his life essence. The Dark Dragon King's face was pale white, and he didn't dare to stay any longer. When he finally broke through the ghost corpse array, his expression became even weaker. Right at this moment, a dagger that was as dark as a shadow pierced through the void in front of him. Whoosh! The Dark Dragon King's head was pierced, and blood splattered everywhere. From the looks of it, it seemed like he had crashed into the mysterious dagger. Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger. Shock appeared on the Dark Dragon King's pale white face. The Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger didn't just pierce through his body, it also locked onto his shadow and soul. Being the sacred weapon of the Tao of assassination, the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger had mysterious abilities that were comparable to the sky-locking bow. Back then, the little thieving cat had used all of its abilities to barely obtain the recognition of the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger. It's impossible to kill me. The Dark Dragon King struggled. Ha! The little thieving cat's paw slapped the Dark Dragon King's face, and a wave of dizziness engulfed his body. Arc, in the soul dimension, the Dark Dragon King screamed in pain as his soul and body slowly melted in the Ghost Corpse curse formation. Chapter 707. After absorbing the flesh and blood of a peak-tier king, the Ghost Corpse cursed array started to change, and pairs of gruesome red eyes started to appear. These eyes came from the cursed ghost corpses, and when they stared at each other, the terrifying power of mental energy was enough to make the hearts of Void God Realm kings go cold. Anyone below the Void God Realm would probably collapse. Zhao Feng revealed a joyful expression. The Ghost Corpse cursed array had reached a whole new level. The Ghost Corpses all started to change. Shua, under the control of the little thieving cat, the light from the eyes soon faded. With the death of the Dark Dragon King, the traitor of the pirate sacred land was finally killed. The pirate kings of the Pirate Alliance couldn't help but sigh. A pirate king who had ruled for 100 years had died, just like that. Everyone attacked together. The pirates snapped out of their daze and pointed their spears at Emperor Mu Yun. The domain-level kings charged over. The normal kings didn't dare to get close, but they could attack from afar. As a Void God Realm king, they could live for tens of thousands of years. It wasn't a big problem for them to have 1 or 2 divine weapons. In an instant, the 20 or so kings present, including the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and company, all circulated their king intent and magnificent power toward Emperor Mu Yun. Emperor Mu Yun, the Dark Dragon King, is already dead. What's the point of staying here? The Giant Shark King said in a deep tone. The 20 or so kings teamed up and attacked Emperor Mu Yun, giving him the absolute advantage. Among them, the child demigod's sky-sealing palm suppressed Emperor Mu Yun's intent and magnificent power, weakening him. Emperor Mu Yun was enraged. An emperor was being suppressed to this level. Boom, boom, boom. As the peak-tier kings, domain-level kings, and normal kings attacked, Emperor Mu Yun was surrounded and couldn't hold on. Even Emperor Mu Yun would have to pay a price if he wanted to break out. Oomph. Although the Dark Dragon King is dead, I promised him that I won't let anyone I want to kill go. Emperor Mu Yun snickered coldly. As soon as he said that, the dark red clouds nearby seemed to solidify. The outline of a little world started to form and block the attacks of the kings. Emperor Mu Yun, even if your little world appears, it won't be able to block the attacks of all the kings. What's the point? The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King tried to persuade him as they attacked. Right now, Great Emperor Mu Yun was suffering because he wanted to save face. After forming his small world, his defenses and offensive prowess had increased significantly. Bang, bang, bang. Boom. However, the battle prowess of these monarchs was overwhelming, and they were all invincible existences in the region. Emperor Mu Yun's little world was full of holes. Even if I have to pay a price, I will kill those 3. Emperor Mu Yun's pride as a void god, realm emperor, wouldn't allow him to give up so easily. For this reason, he did not hesitate to use his small world to resist the ferocious attack. Then his soul and true essence boiled, and a red cloud blood blade appeared in his palm. The red cloud blood blade was hundreds of meters long and burned with a layer of forbidden, translucent blood flames. Die! Emperor Mu Yun's eyes flickered with a trace of bloody light. He was cruel and vicious as he swung the red cloud blood blade. Kacha! The magnificent power attacks of the king shattered into millions of pieces. The gigantic crimson cloud bloodblade slashed across the sky, and the sound of space shattering could be heard. Arg! With this slash, a domain-level king died, and two normal kings instantly turned into a puddle of blood. What a strong attack! Even a spatial domain was shattered. Zhao Feng's heart went numb. When a Void God Realm Emperor went all out, his battle power would increase by several times. Furthermore, the Red Cloud Bloodblade could pierce through both the physical world and the soul. Emperor Mu Yun, you're insane. You're even willing to use your source energy and lifespan. Everyone, team up. The pirate lords were enraged and shocked as they used their secret techniques. Ha, all of you pirates can die. Emperor Mu Yun's face was filled with madness and bloodlust. Sky ceiling 18 palms. The child demigod roared as he fully activated his bloodline and soul power. His body glowed with a golden light as his demigod intent and soul merged together. He thrust out a seemingly slow palm that landed above Emperor Mu Yun's little world. Sky ceiling 18 palms. This is a technique from the complete sky ceiling palm. Emperor Mu Yun's intent and little world were suppressed. As the 18 sky-ceiling palms were unleashed one after another, the heavy pressure and the sealing force grew stronger and stronger. Once I use the sky-ceiling 18 palms, I'll have 18 times the power of sealing. At that level, I can even seal heaven and earth. The child demigod thrust out palm after palm. In reality, at his current level, he could only use the 8th sky-ceiling palm at most. Despite this being the case, it was still world-shocking. It was enough to seal a peak king or a secret realm or small world. Not good. My little world. Emperor Mu Yun's heart became heavy. His attacks and magnificent power were all restricted. When he reached the 4th sky-ceiling palm, his speed was halved and his attack power was reduced by 20 to 30%. Master, I can only last until the 8th heaven-ceiling palm. I can't seal him completely. I can't completely seal him, the child demigod said. That's enough. Zhao Feng nodded his head. After all, his opponent was an emperor. Emperor Mu Yun was suppressed by the sky-ceiling palm and faced the frenzied attacks of 20 or so kings. Half of his little world had already been shattered. Wah! Finally, a trickle of blood leaked out of Emperor Mu Yun's mouth. He started to feel regretful. He shouldn't have been so arrogant. He had to suffer because he wanted to save face. An emperor fighting against 20 or so kings was indeed too arrogant. Now that he was being restricted by the sky-ceiling 18 palms, he was in a desperate situation. Master, he's still an emperor. We need to be wary of him counterattacking. The child demigod's sky-ceiling palm reached the 7th palm. At this moment, Emperor Mu Yun was heavily injured and had used up a lot of his yuan qi, so he was preparing his final move. Although I have to pay a heavy price for this move, it can ensure that I can escape and kill half of them. Emperor Mu Yun laughed coldly in his heart. Before he escaped, he wanted to give these people a heavy blow. At this moment in time, no one realized that a layer of purple had replaced Zhao Feng's left eye, and there seemed to be a purple world within it. His purple hair danced in the violent wind. Sky ceiling 8th palm. The child demigod's sky-ceiling palm was pushed to the limit. Emperor Mu Yun's soul became heavy, and he spat out another mouthful of blood as the kings attacked furiously. His little world was even more fragmented. However, the heavily injured Emperor Mu Yun's lips curled into a cruel smile. Some of the kings present felt an uneasy aura. Only Zhao Feng's eye bloodline could clearly see the circulation of Emperor Mu Yun's true yuan and soul power. He's been sealed to the limit, and his little world has been shattered. This is my chance. Zhao Feng instantly unleashed his eye bloodline technique. Shua, a translucent blade that was 20 feet long with traces of destructive god tribulation, lightning aura on its surface, pierced through Emperor Mu Yun's chest. Blood splattered everywhere. Emperor Mu Yun's body stiffened. The trump card he was preparing was interrupted midway. In that instant, his face went white and then red. Blood started to leak out of his ears, nose, and mouth, and he stumbled. Around him, the surrounding pirate kings all had gaping mouths as their expressions changed dramatically. Void space eye slash. Zhao Feng's eye bloodline and hair soon returned to their normal color. Shock appeared in the eyes of the Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King. They didn't expect such a nameless youth to have such terrifying strength. No one would have guessed that this youth's strongest foundation wasn't the wind lightning inheritance, but his eye bloodline. The instant Zhao Feng used his god's spiritual eye, all the kings present felt their souls become uneasy. This is his true strength, and that wisp of aura. Could it be the power of God Tribulation Lightning? The child demigod seemed to choke with emotion. He had merged with the demigod intent not long ago, and his strength had increased dramatically, but his life and death were still controlled by Zhao Feng's dark heart seed. But when he saw Zhao Feng truly activate his eye bloodline, he couldn't help but suck in a cold breath. That void space eye slash had dealt a destructive blow to Emperor Mu Yun. The void space eye slash was countless times stronger than when it was in the demigod Forgotten Garden. The purple destruction wind lightning had become scarlet destruction wind lightning, and it had merged with the power of God Tribulation Lightning. If it wasn't for the fact that it was a sneak attack and the sky sealing palms restriction, my attack wouldn't have been able to hit him so easily. Zhao Feng didn't get carried away. With an emperor's understanding of space, it would be hard for the void space I slash to hit under normal situations. At this moment in time, blood flowed out of Emperor Mu Yun's 7 orifices and his little world shattered. Who would have thought that a void god realm emperor would fall to such a state? Explode. Emperor Mu Yun burned his true yuan and soul power as he roared. The shattered little world instantly exploded, and the nearby void god realm kings were either killed or sent flying. 5 or 6 nearby void god realm kings were instantly killed, and the rest were sent flying. Luckily, the little world had already been destroyed. If it was a complete little world, the power would be 10 times stronger, and it might even be able to take the life of an emperor. Whoosh, whoosh. After exploding the little world, a dark red streak of light shot into the sky. It was several times faster than Zhao Feng's full speed. In the blink of an eye, Emperor Mu Yun had already disappeared from sight. I won't let you off today. After Great Emperor Mu Yun escaped from the encirclement, he gritted his teeth and had a ruthless expression. An hour later, his speed decreased as he arrived at the edge of the 18 Corners pirate sacred land. Right at this moment, a huge, dark, and cold metal sailboat flew toward them. Void God Realm Emperor. When Luoan was stunned. Not long ago, he and the Yin-Yang Lord felt the faint aura of the Eye of Death. Stay here, the Yin-Yang Lord roared coldly. This emperor seems to have been touched by the aura of death. When Luoan and the Yin-Yang Lord's token of death sent something. What? Stay here? Emperor Mu Yun's expression became grim. Although he was heavily injured, his soul hadn't been destroyed, so he still had 50 to 60% of his battle power. However, even then, he wasn't someone a peak-tier king could deal with. Chapter 708. When Luoan and the Yin-Yang Lord obviously weren't arrogant enough to think that they could kill an emperor, even if he was heavily injured. Emperor Mu Yun was filled with anger, but he had nowhere to vent it. He licked his lips and revealed a cruel smile as he inspected the two and the shadow-like guards on the ship of death. For some reason, he had a familiar feeling, as if he knew information about these people. This person has clues related to Zhao Feng. We have to kill him. The Yin-Yang Lord and Wen Luoan looked at each other. Emperor Mu Yun had been hit by Zhao Feng's void space eye slash, and his eye bloodline aura contained a wisp of the intent of death. The two looked at each other and immediately made a decision. Shua, shua. The two took out a unique token of death at the same time. The token gave off an ancient aura, and it was as black as ink. The word death floated on its surface, and it radiated an aura of death that reached the soul. Emperor Mu Yun felt a chill in his soul. He felt inexplicably uneasy. The two tokens of death radiated an intent of death that locked onto Emperor Mu Yun. These tokens, could they be? Emperor Mu Yun seemed to think of something, and his expression changed dramatically. The next instant, a shocking scene appeared. One, a black eye appeared in the center of each of the two tokens of death. There was a bottomless whirlpool in the eye, and white dots of light seemed to connect to the world of death. The Eye of Death, Emperor Mu Yun exclaimed. His uneasy guesses had become reality. At this moment, the Yin-Yang Lord and Wenluan used the two tokens of death to summon the power of the Eye of Death. The aura of death was dozens of times stronger than when it appeared in the Purple Saint ruins. Furthermore, there was a fundamental difference between the two. Last time, the Eye of Death appeared in the Purple Saint ruins because the token of death could connect with the Emperor of Death's Eye of Death. This was because the token of death contained the Emperor of Death's powerful intent of death. And now, the Yin-Yang Lord and Wenluan used it as a medium to connect with the Emperor of Death's Eye of Death. Emperor Mu Yun's heart shook, and he felt as if his life wasn't in his hands. However, as a Void God Realm Emperor, he did not retreat at all. In theory, the Emperor of Death cultivation was the same as his. However, his opponent was an ancient and legendary emperor and a descendant of the Death Godly Eye. Humph! Emperor of Death. If your true body were to appear, I might have to take a few steps back. However, your Eyes of Death are only connected to this place. Great Emperor Mu Yun laughed coldly. His soul power was almost ignited, giving rise to an extremely strong willpower. The Yin-Yang Lords and Wenluan felt suffocated, and their souls trembled. Thankfully, the death medallions in their hands gave them confidence, as if they were being protected by their souls. Kacha! The two death medallions suddenly shattered. Then, the pair of Eyes of Death's shadow became gloomy and deep, like the abyss of death. Moreover, it suddenly enlarged 1,000,000 times, just like Zhao Feng's space-traversing eyes. Death Stare. An indistinct voice resounded in the soul dimension. The Eye of Death was as cold as the heavenly Tao, and it stared at Emperor Mu Yun. How could this be? Emperor Mu Yun felt as if his soul had been sealed, and he couldn't control it. His life force seemed to be sealed, and he couldn't move at all. In the sky above his head, the pair of enormous Eyes of Death had a pitch-black whirlpool that spun inside them. This is impossible. Emperor Mu Yun tried to struggle and roared. However, after the battle, his little world had been destroyed, and he was heavily injured. He only had 50 to 60% of his battle power left. It was obvious that he couldn't even struggle. Slowly, an illusory Emperor Mu Yun's spirit body, as tall as a Buddha statue, struggled as it was pulled out of his body by an invisible force. This was Emperor Mu Yun's soul. Shua! Emperor Mu Yun's soul was sucked into a black whirlpool by the Eye of Death. Death Stare. This is Master's signature eye bloodline technique. If the target soul is weaker than the user's, their soul will be taken away. Respect appeared in Wenluan's eyes. The gaze of death was a forbidden technique, and it was like the representative of the god of death. However, from a certain perspective, the Emperor of Death was the representative of the god of death. This was because the owner of the Eye of Death was the god of death, but he was the ancestor of the Eyes of Death and had never appeared in the Tsang Ocean before. In the sky above, the figure of the Eye of Death paused for a breath or two before becoming extremely dim and disappearing. Using the gaze of death across several island zones, and the target is even an emperor. The price. Zhao Feng muttered to himself. The Yin-Yang Lord's eyebrows furrowed. After a long time, Wang, a token of death used to send messages, appeared in Wenluan's hand. The tracks of Zhao Feng are at the 18 Corners Canyon, the inheritance of the Pirate Emperor Sacred Land. A low and weak voice came from the token. 18 Corners Canyon? The inheritance of the Pirate Emperor. Wenluan and the Yin-Yang Lord's eyes lit up. From the looks of it, the Emperor of Death had found traces of Zhao Feng after taking Emperor Mu Yun's soul. However, the Emperor of Death had paid a heavy price for this. Even with the two special tokens of death, the Eye of Death was extremely far away, and its target was an emperor of the same cultivation, so it expended a lot of energy. Furthermore, after using the gaze of death, the Emperor of Death still needed to search Emperor Mu Yun's soul. I've used up a lot of my mental energy, and I need a rest for a month. Focus on the target. The Emperor of Death's voice disappeared into the air. Wenlan and the Yin-Yang Lord looked at each other with surprise. Why was the Emperor of Death so insistent on killing Zhao Feng and leaving his corpse intact? In order to kill Zhao Feng, the Emperor of Death had put in a lot of effort and energy. Was it all worth it? 18 Corners Canyon, the center of the pirate sacred land. After a fierce battle, many pirate lords were injured, and they felt as if they had just survived. After this battle, the way the pirate lords looked at Zhao Feng was completely different. No one doubted that Zhao Feng had the right to fight with the Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King for the throne of the Pirate Emperor. Even the child demigod next to Zhao Feng was curious and respectful. Shua, shua, shua. More than a dozen Pirate King tokens floated in the air above a limitless ocean. According to the rules of the Pirate Emperor inheritance, one could open the Pirate Emperor's Sacred Land inheritance with 9 Pirate King tokens. And now, the number of Pirate King tokens had far surpassed the minimum. One of the Pirate King tokens was connected to Zhao Feng and the Ghost Ship. Each Pirate King token was built on a legendary pirate ship. The Ghost Ship was originally a pirate ship, so it had its own consciousness, which was why it was recognized by the Pirate King token. Being the captain, Zhao Feng had become one of the Pirate Kings. One boom, a tremor that shook heaven and earth appeared in the limitless ocean. This tremor came from the 18 Corners Canyon, the pirate's sacred land. Even those at the Void God realm would feel tiny in front of this power. Is this really the inheritance of a Void God realm emperor? Zhao Feng's senses weren't simple. Meow meow. The little thieving cat's eyes twinkled as it appeared on his shoulder. This pirate emperor inheritance is indeed not simple. The child demigod started to think. The tremor lasted for a full 18 breaths. At the same time, in the pirate's sacred land, the 18 canyon miniaturized domains all erupted with a dark azure light that soared into the sky. They had a majestic aura that defied the heavens and disdained the world. Of course, unless one could see the entire 18 Corners pirate's sacred land, they wouldn't be able to feel this aura. It's here. Someone was the first to cry out in surprise. Boom. Boom! At the center of the ocean of space, there was a huge whirlpool that was over 3 kilometers tall. There was a faint dark green glow within it, and it emanated a wisp of an ancient aura that seemed to be connected to the other side of the starry sky. What power! Is this the entrance to the pirate inheritance? The child demigod squinted his eyes. The whirlpool in the center of the whirlpool seemed to have an eternal intent. This entrance, even a Void God Realm Emperor, would be torn to pieces. Zhao Feng clucked his tongue. Furthermore, the dark green light in the center of the whirlpool gave Zhao Feng a familiar feeling. It was similar to an aura in his memories, but there were also differences. Everyone, let's go. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King's battleship led the way and charged toward the whirlpool. Strangely enough, their battleship was protected by a mysterious power, and the power of the whirlpool wasn't able to harm it at all. Interesting. Zhao Feng could see that it was the Pirate King token's aura that had merged into the ship. Within the ghost ship, there was also that indistinct aura fluctuation, which was especially obvious as it approached the giant whirlpool. This involved the huge layout of the entire pirate Holy Land. Zhao Feng became more and more curious. How could the Pirate Emperor create such a grand plan by himself? Whoosh! The ghost ship entered the center of the whirlpool, along with some other legendary pirate ships. Only the Pirate King tokens that opened the Pirate Emperor's sacred land and the ships that were recognized could enter the whirlpool. Shwa! 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 At the same time, within the pirate's sacred land, the other Pirate King's insignia that had been scattered also entered the giant whirlpool under the influence of the power of heaven and earth. Every time the Pirate Emperor's sacred land opened, the 18 Pirate King tokens would be redistributed. Zhao Feng let out a breath. The Cold Moon King hadn't lied to him. This way, the ghost ship wouldn't be restricted by the Pirate Emperor's sacred land. When the ghost ship entered the whirlpool, the little thieving cat, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader weren't affected at all. They were originally a part of the ship and were tacitly recognized as pirate crew members. In the end, there were only 12 ships that had successfully entered the whirlpool of giant waves. The other ships were instantly torn into pieces by the whirlpool, no matter how strong their materials were or how strong their arrays were. Even emperors wouldn't be able to enter the whirlpool by force. Even if they managed to enter, they wouldn't be able to obtain an inheritance without the heart of a pirate. This was an inheritance that only belonged to pirates. The whirlpool became the center of the 18 Corners Canyon and stayed in the air above the limitless ocean. An unknown amount of time later, a death metal sailboat rode the wind and waves and arrived near the whirlpool of huge waves. Chapter 709. We're too late. The ship of death stopped near the whirlpool and couldn't move forward anymore. The Yin-Yang Lord, Wen Luan, and the Death Guards looked at the center of the whirlpool and felt a sense of helplessness. The whirlpool was tightly connected to the power of heaven and earth in the pirates' sacred land, and no one could stop it. We've missed the opportunity. Zhao Feng has become one of the pirate kings and entered the pirate emperor's sacred land. The Yin-Yang Lord soon found some information. The Death Guards on the death metal sailboat caught a few scattered void pirates nearby. After some questioning, the Yin-Yang Lord and Wen Luan obtained a lot of information regarding the pirate emperor's sacred land. Until now, there had never been a case of an outsider forcefully entering the pirate emperor inheritance. Even peak emperors like the Emperor of Death weren't able to enter the pirate emperor's sacred land by force. Compared to the demigod Forgotten Garden, the pirate emperor inheritance is only a small inheritance. That Zhao Feng isn't a true pirate, so it'll be hard for him to obtain a true inheritance. Wen Luan had a warm smile and was full of confidence. Over the past half a year, Wen Luan had recovered his cultivation, and his strength had reached another level after the demigod Forgotten Garden. He was at the late-stage Great Origin Core realm, and he had reached the half-step Void God realm. The pirate emperor inheritance usually doesn't last more than half a month. We'll wait here for Zhao Feng to come out and gather the other Death Spirit Lords and Death Guards. The Yin-Yang Lord said in a deep tone. Through the token of death, the Yin-Yang Lords group contacted the other experts under the Emperor of Death. On the other side of the whirlpool, the 12 legendary ships, pushed by the raging waves, sailed for a while. An unknown amount of time later, a small island appeared in front of them. It was shrouded in a layer of ancient and mysterious dark green light. Along the way, Zhao Feng stood on the deck and surveyed this unfamiliar dimension. In his vision was a limitless ocean. It wasn't the limitless ocean anymore. The raging waves pushed the ships towards the only land in the center, the island in the center. This is a secret dimension, and it's probably even stronger than the demigod Forgotten Garden. The child demigod murmured. When Zhao Feng heard this, he couldn't help but be shocked. The pirate's sovereign sacred land sounded like a peak great emperor's inheritance, but it actually had such a high-level secret realm. The pirate emperor's sacred land. We're almost there. The pirates on the ships all had excited expressions as they stared at the small island in the center. Far, far away, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye saw that there were 18 peaks on the island. At the center of the 18 isolated peaks was a huge mountain. It had the aura of an emperor that looked down on all the other mountains and looked down on the world. After entering the pirate emperor's sacred land, the 18 Corners pirate kings will be reshuffled. Also, when the Holy Land opens, a pirate emperor will be born. The bearded man said. Of course, ordinary pirate kings did not dare to dream of the pirate emperor's throne. The most likely competitors were the Cold Moon King, the Giant Shark King, and Zhao Feng. This space seems to be isolated from the outside world. Zhao Feng's hair and left eye had both turned purple. With the god's spiritual eye, he could feel that this secret realm wasn't normal. The island in front of him seemed to only be a small part of the secret realm. However, within a radius of 1,000 miles, powerful waves and an invisible force pushed all the ships and living beings closer to the central island region. Not long after, The 18 pirate ships reached the shore. Quick, grab the chance. The pirates scrambled to reach the center of the island. The island had maintained its ancient appearance, and the resources here were even better than the Purple Saint ruins. Furthermore, the 18 isolated peaks and mountain corners were also the targets of many strong pirates. Zhao Feng. Each of the 18 peaks represented a legacy of the pirate emperor, and each of them contained a corresponding fortuitous encounter. You can choose the one that suits you. The golden-haired man warned. So, after speaking, the golden-haired man and the bearded man each headed toward a peak. After entering the pirate emperor's sacred land, many pirate experts would fight for their futures. The pirate emperor's throne. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King looked at each other before flying toward the giant peak. The giant peak represented the fight for the pirate emperor's throne. Ding! Boom! The two pirate kings started to fight as soon as they reached the giant peak. The other pirate kings didn't join in. Furthermore, they wanted their own inheritances. The Cold Moon King and the Giant Shark King, no matter who it was, would become the future pirate emperor of the pirate sacred land. Once the pirate emperor was born, he would be able to command the 18 Corners pirate sacred land. Zhao Feng flew over the central island zone and looked down at the entire island zone, a hint of disappointment on his face. Indeed, the scale of the pirate emperor's inheritance was rare. However, there was still a big difference compared to the demigod Forgotten Garden. The treasures in the island couldn't be compared to the demigod Forgotten Garden. The places with the greatest opportunities were none other than the corners of the 18 isolated peaks, as well as the giant peak in the center. However, the problem was that Zhao Feng wasn't interested in the inheritance. There was no inheritance that was suitable for him here. No matter how strong the pirate emperor was, he was still a peak emperor and didn't have an eye bloodline inheritance. Zhao Feng had the Wind Lightning Emperor's inheritance, and adding on the God Tribulation Lightning, he wasn't interested in inheritances below the Sacred Lord level. On the other hand, the child demigod joined the fight for resources. No matter how thin a fly was, it was still meat. The child demigod needed resources to recover his strength. On the other hand, Zhao Feng restricted him greatly in terms of resources. Don't start a massacre, Zhao Feng warned. He didn't want the balance of the island to be broken. That would have unpredictable consequences for the pirate's sacred land. Wang, a huge black pillar of light, shot up into the sky from the corner of a certain isolated mountain peak. So fast, someone obtained the pirate emperor's inheritance so quickly? The pirates on the central island were very surprised. Zhao Feng could see that the pillar of black light was from a demonic Dao inheritance. On the peak, a pirate king was enveloped by the pillar of black light as he merged into the peak and disappeared. Wang, the bottom of the peak was covered by the black light, and no one else could enter. Zhao Feng understood that the future legendary pirate king of the pirate sacred land had been decided. Sir, with your strength, why don't you go fight for a peak? A half-step king pirate flew by and looked at Zhao Feng in confusion. This pirate was a subordinate of the Cold Moon Monarch. I don't want to be a pirate, and I don't want to be bound to the pirate's sacred land. Zhao Feng shook his head with a smile. In the truth, the pirate emperor's inheritance wasn't very attractive to him, and it wasn't suitable for him. More importantly, once Zhao Feng obtained one of the inheritances, he would merge into a pirate king token and be bound to the pirate's sacred land. At this moment in time, Zhao Feng was observing the battle on the central island zone from a transcendent perspective. The most intense battle was between the Giant Shark King and the Cold Moon King. Both of them were injured in the previous battle, and this battle was a matter of life and death. Cold Moon King, your injuries are heavier than mine. If this continues, you'll definitely lose. The Giant Shark King's voice was deep and powerful. Then let's give it a try. The Cold Moon King's expression was cold as she merged her sword and blade together. Her attacks were sharp, and her movement technique was as fast as lightning. She seemed to have the upper hand. In terms of offense and agility, the Cold Moon King was the strongest of the three. However, the Giant Shark King's bloodline and body were strong, and he focused on defense. He easily dissolved the Cold Moon King's lightning-fast attacks. Apart from this, several pirate experts also worked together to fight over some isolated peaks and mountain corners. In the previous battle, the Pirate Alliance had lost many Void God Realm kings. Therefore, there were only a dozen or so king-level warriors on the central island, and there were 18 isolated peaks on the island. As long as they were at the king level, they could easily occupy a lone peak. The remaining peaks were fought over by half-step kings or peak sovereigns. At the same time, in every corner of the island, some mid-tier and low-tier pirates didn't have the right to fight over peaks, but they were still searching for treasures. Zhao Feng was the most carefree person on the island. Zhao Feng opened his god spiritual eye and looked around the island as well as this vast secret realm. Zhao Feng, please lend me a hand. If you can obtain the Pirate Emperor's throne, I, the Cold Moon King, will owe you a favor. I will repay you tenfold in the future. A cold voice came to his ears. Zhao Feng glanced over. The owner of the voice was the Cold Moon King. The Cold Moon King's perfect figure was surrounded by the cold moonlight. Her eyebrows were like crescent moons. Her face was icy cold, and her nose was straight. Her long legs were as white as lotus roots, but there were a few bloody marks on them. With a sword in her hand, she moved like a flash of lightning. Her movement technique was superb, not inferior to Zhao Feng's. Her sharp attacks could even threaten a great emperor. For a while, the Cold Moon King seemed to have the upper hand. However, Zhao Feng could see that the Cold Moon King had expended a lot of energy. Her breathing was rough, and her chest heaved up and down. Sweat could be seen on her forehead. She looked at Zhao Feng with a pleading gaze, which contained a rare feminine tenderness and stubbornness. Zhao Feng knew that it was rare for someone as competitive as the Cold Moon King to ask him for help. At the same time, this showed how much she trusted Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng hadn't done anything yet. Those who didn't understand would think that he wanted the Pirate Emperor's throne. This was what the Giant Shark King was thinking. He conserved his energy in battle and even prepared himself to deal with Zhao Feng's attacks. Giant Shark King, give the Pirate Emperor's throne to the Cold Moon King. Zhao Feng straightforwardly said. What? The Giant Shark King's body froze as he looked at Zhao Feng in disbelief. He originally thought that Zhao Feng wanted the Pirate Emperor's throne, which was why he hadn't done anything yet. He didn't expect him to help the Cold Moon King. Could it be that Zhao Feng wasn't interested in the Pirate Emperor's throne or the inheritance? If that's the case, the Giant Shark King's heart went cold. Before, when they were fighting Emperor Mu Yun, Zhao Feng and the Child Demigod's strength had won the respect of the Pirate Kings. The Child Demigod could even suppress an emperor's intent. Zhao Feng's last Void Space Eye slash had severely injured an emperor, which made everyone tremble in fear. Zhao Feng, if you don't interfere in the battle for the Pirate Emperor's throne, I'll do my best to agree to all your requests. The Giant Shark King quickly messaged. Once Zhao Feng and the Child Demigod helped the Cold Moon King, he had no hope at all. Chapter 710. At this moment, Zhao Feng had become an important person in the battle for the Pirate Emperor position. His position was enough to turn the situation around. If he teamed up with the Child Demigod, their strength could suppress any major figurehead. Sorry, but before I leave the pirate's sacred land, I'm still one of the Cold Moon King's subordinates. Zhao Feng spoke slowly as his left eye locked onto the Giant Shark King. Since the dimension of the sacred land was separated from the outside world, he didn't try to hide his eye bloodline. The Giant Shark King felt a strong surge of eye intent sweep over and make his soul uneasy. Thunder boomed in the soul dimension, and an aura of destruction and calamity appeared. Eye bloodline, this is his true strength. The Giant Shark King was stunned. Zhao Feng's soul strength and eye intent were unleashed without reservation. After the god's spiritual eye evolved, Zhao Feng had been cultivating the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, especially the God Tribulation Lightning, which made his eye bloodline power even more condensed. Now, Zhao Feng's body and bloodline weren't weaker than a peak tier king's. His soul was even stronger than a peak tier king's. Zhao Feng sighed. It turned out that he had grown so quickly while running for his life. Zhao Feng, thank you. The Cold Moon King gave him a grateful expression. With Zhao Feng's strength and the child demigod's strength, they definitely had a chance to become the Pirate Emperor. However, he still considered himself to be her subordinate. Master, the child demigod flew through the air, and his intent and demigod intent made the giant Shark King's heart drop. The giant Shark King revealed a bitter expression. Zhao Feng and the child demigod were both key figures in defeating Emperor Mu Yun. When the two of them teamed up, they were invincible against anyone below Emperor Mu Yun. Cold Moon King, your luck isn't just good. I'll leave the battle for the Pirate Emperor. The giant Shark King smiled bitterly and admitted defeat. He couldn't help but regret not trying to rope in Zhao Feng. However, thinking about it, Zhao Feng was most likely helping the Cold Moon King because of her beauty. Before leaving, the giant Shark King glanced meaningfully at Zhao Feng and the Cold Moon King. There was a hint of suspicion and ambiguity in his eyes. Zhao Feng was expressionless as he watched him leave. The Cold Moon King's face was still cold. No one could tell what she was thinking, but her heartbeat sped up. She was a little nervous. Could Zhao Feng have helped her because he admired her? Would he make any unreasonable demands? Cold Moon King, after the Pirate Emperor's inheritance ends, I will leave the sacred land. Zhao Feng turned around and told him where he was going. The Cold Moon King let out a breath, but Zhao Feng's calm expression made her feel slightly disappointed. She did not fall in love with Zhao Feng. Being someone who had dominated the pirate's sacred land for 100 years, the Cold Moon King's heart was as firm as a rock. She wouldn't be easily moved. However, she couldn't deny that she was grateful and had a good impression of this man. She admired Zhao Feng's calmness and honesty, and his help at the critical moment won her favor. However, from the looks of it, Zhao Feng had no interest in the pirate's sacred land and wanted to leave as soon as possible. Zhao Feng also seemed to lack interest in the pirate emperor's inheritance. Little Kuan-Yin, let's go take a look at the other places. Zhao Feng said to the child demigod. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I had already scanned the center of the island, and there wasn't anything worth paying attention to. Little Kuan-Yin? The Cold Moon King felt that this name was familiar, as if she had read about it somewhere before. Of course, she didn't think too much about it. Zhao Feng, I, the Cold Moon King, owe you a favor. I will repay you tenfold in the future. The Cold Moon King looked at Zhao Feng's back and said solemnly. Zhao Feng didn't put it to heart and left with the child demigod. Meow meow. The little thieving cat appeared on Zhao Feng's shoulder and threw a few bronze coins into the air. Master, I feel the same as you. This secret dimension definitely isn't as simple as a pirate inheritance. Even if a measly emperor is a mechanisms grandmaster or an array grandmaster, he wouldn't be able to set up something this big. The child demigod nodded his head. Just like that, a human, a child, and a cat. This weird combination went around the center of the island. I still haven't found anything. This island should be set up by the pirate emperor. Zhao Feng and the child demigod discussed as they searched. A day later, Zhao Feng gave up on searching the island. However, there was a huge wave outside the island that pushed the life forms in the air and on the water toward the center of the island. When Zhao Feng tried to fly, he would face a strong resistance. He only managed to stabilize himself when he used his wings of wind and lightning. Zhao Feng flew several thousand miles in one breath, and the resistance was extremely strong. Luckily, he had a lot of resources and spiritual pills, so replenishing his true yuan wasn't a problem. Several thousand miles later, Zhao Feng suddenly felt the waves on the ocean calm down and the resistance in the air weakened. Let's go further and search. Zhao Feng continued to fly. This time, he flew over 10,000 miles, but he didn't find a second island. At this moment, he reached the end of the secret dimension. A dark green barrier appeared in front of him, similar to the barrier of a world. The scale of this secret dimension isn't simple. The child demigod's eyebrows furrowed. Zhao Feng did not give up. He changed directions, returned to the central island zone, and flew to the other end. However, he still didn't find anything. Along the way, he encountered some environmental disasters in secret realms. Luckily, with Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye and wings of wind and lightning, he was able to deal with them. I didn't find anything near the ocean. Zhao Feng's thoughts spun. He eliminated the center of the island, the ocean, and the sky. Why don't we go to the bottom of the ocean? The child demigod suggested. Zhao Feng nodded his head. This was exactly what he wanted to do. Plop! Zhao Feng dove into the depths of the sea, a layer of purple lines appearing on his body like a set of scales. This was the defensive bloodline that Zhao Feng had added to his body, and it was extremely compatible with the element of water. Furthermore, he also had the water bloodline. Although there was a lot of resistance, he was still able to enter the depths of the ocean. The waves in the depths of the ocean were so strong that normal kings wouldn't be able to last long. Furthermore, the color of the ocean was dark green, and it restricted one's senses. Zhao Feng could only barely see 1 mile around him when he opened his god's spiritual eye. Meow meow. The little thieving cat threw the bronze coin into the air once more, and it pointed in a direction. Zhao Feng circulated a ripple of water to protect it. The child demigod cultivated the golden coin's sacred body and also had a technique that could repel water, so he followed behind. This cat knows divination. The child demigod followed in the direction of Zhao Feng and the little thieving cat. No one knew how long they walked for. The dark green light in the depths of the ocean became brighter and brighter, as if there was a source of light. Meow meow. The little thieving cat threw the bronze coin into the air once more with an excited expression. On the other hand, the child demigod revealed a suspicious expression. Zhao Feng seemed to trust the little thieving cat a lot, and he continued forward with difficulty. However, the closer they got to the source of light, the stronger the pressure from the ocean became. At a certain moment, dark green vines appeared in front of them. Each vine had green spikes that glowed with a cold light. The source of light came from the depths of the vines. Zhao Feng could faintly feel an ancient aura coming from the depths of the vines. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paws around in excitement. Master, I suspect that there's a secret in the depths of the vines. The child demigod said. However, if they wanted to get close to the source of light, they would have to pass through the endless dark green vines. Boom! The child demigod thrust his palm forward and created a small hole in the dark green vines. This vine is extremely ancient, and it's extremely resistant to physical attacks. The expression of the child demigod changed. He had used 70% of his strength, but he had only managed to create a whole half a yard wide. Furthermore, the pressure in the ocean was extremely strong, and it wasn't good for him to unleash his full power. Purple destruction, wind lightning. Zhao Feng thrust out his palm, but he was only able to create a small hole. Plants were even more resistant to lightning attacks. The dark green vines are probably several hundred miles wide. Zhao Feng and the child demigod both felt troubled. The dark green vines would slowly recover after a hole was created. Let's try this. A black seed appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. Demonic hell vine seed. The child demigod couldn't help but be surprised as he recognized the seed. Back then in the Purple Saint ruins, the 3 two-star sects had tried to invade the Purple Saint ruins with terrifying demonic hell vine seeds. Whoosh! Zhao Feng planted the demonic hell vine seed into the ground. Origin life force. Zhao Feng quickly merged a drop of origin life force into the demonic hell vine seed. A drop of origin life force contained an ocean of life force and could turn a land of death within 100 miles into a fertile land. It could also be used to plant all sorts of herbs for 1,000 years. In an instant, a large patch of dark green rhizome grew out of the demonic vine seed. The rhizome rapidly expanded, becoming thicker and longer, and its color became darker. In just a few breaths, within a radius of several miles, large patches of ink-black vines appeared. The surface of those vines was covered with savage and bloodthirsty barbs, causing one to shudder. Life crystal, 10,000-year pearl fruit. Blood yuan bamboo. Zhao Feng threw one treasure after another into the demonic hell vines that were growing in size. The growth of the demonic hell vine instantly increased by several times. In just a short while, an ocean of vines appeared. The demonic hell vine seed met the dark green vines and started to absorb their life force. As expected of a disaster-grade vine, the child demigod exclaimed. The demonic hell vine could devour anything with life force, including the life force and blood essence of experts. Although the dark green vine had a strong resistance to physical attacks, it was still a wood elemental life form. As the two types of vines intertwined, the dark green vine started to wither at a visible rate. Soon later, a bloodthirsty aura appeared in the ocean of vines, and an enormous vine monster appeared. It was like a giant squid with hundreds of tentacles that were dozens of yards long. He demonic vine king come. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and instantly controlled the demonic hell vine king. After controlling the demonic hell vine king, Zhao Feng could control the direction of the demonic hell vine king's growth. Soon later, the vine had reached the origin core realm. The ocean of vines absorbed a large amount of life force from the dark green vine and advanced unstoppably. Chapter 711. Zhao Feng controlled the demonic hell vine king and pushed it forward, opening a path through the dark green vines. However, the life force and recovery speed of the dark green vines were also very strong, so they weren't advancing very quickly. Meow meow. An array flag appeared in the little thieving cat's hand as it set up the ghost corpse cursed array. Pairs of blood-red eyes appeared in the dark gray smoke, and the power of the mental energy of hatred made one's hairs stand on end. The addition of the ghost corpse cursed array greatly increased the speed of the vines. The ghost corpse cursed array could also absorb life force, and it was effective on any living being. This was especially so for the power of the curse and resentment, which caused the nearby dark vines to wither rapidly. On the other hand, the ghost corpses in the ghost corpse cursed array had blood-red eyes, and their auras were still slowly rising. These dark green vines are of high quality and have strong life force. They're a good source of nourishment. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Every 10 yards of dark green vines that were devoured was equivalent to devouring a sovereign lord. The cultivation of the ghost corpses within the ghost corpse cursed array started to increase. After advancing a couple dozen miles, most of the ghost corpses had reached the middle stage, small origin core realm, and some had even reached the late stage, small origin core realm. The child demigod clicked his tongue. This dark green vine was a very ancient vine that was largely immune to physical energy attacks. However, the ghost corpse cursed array and the demonic hell vines countered them. As it advanced, the ghost corpse formation devoured tens of millions of vines. Its aura grew more and more violent, and the psychic resentment it emanated became even more terrifying. At this moment in time, 100 pairs of blood-red eyes glared at the ghost corpse cursed array, and the power of hatred could suppress normal king intent. Half a day later, the demonic hell vines and the ghost corpse cursed array pushed forward by 100 or 2 miles. At this moment, the cultivation of the ghost corpses had reached the late stage, small origin core realm, and a small number had reached the peak, small origin core realm. The power of hatred radiating from the ghost corpse cursed array was enough to make normal kings avoid it. Meow meow. The little thieving cat looked forward excitedly. The dark green vines seemed to reach the end, and a bright azure light appeared. The green light source is here. Joy appeared in the eyes of Zhao Feng and the child demigod. After passing through the last part of the journey and passing through the endless dark green vines, a magnificent green light barrier appeared in front of them. The green light barrier was incomparably huge. Within the light shield, one could see a steel castle that had sunk to the bottom of the ocean. It also looked like a huge steel base that was at least 1,000 miles in circumference. The bright green light shield was like an invisible force field, isolating it from the seawater. In the iron castle, there were many strange buildings made of iron and steel, the tall bell tower that pierced the sky, the mysterious and unadorned astrology tower, the tranquil fountain square. All of these did not seem to be products of this era. The hearts of Zhao Feng and the child demigod shook as they felt an ancient aura coming from the metallic world. These buildings belong to a transcendent civilization. Could it be? The young demigod had his own guesses. That huge world of steel, with its magnificent buildings, was like an ancient city that had sunk into the bottom of the sea. It's a little similar to the Heaven's Legacy race. Zhao Feng thought back to some of the races mentioned in the 10,000 Ancient Races ranking. Amongst them, the Heaven's Legacy race, ranked third, had once created a glorious civilization, and its inheritances and secret realms were spread across the fan universe. The reason why they guessed that it was the Heaven's Legacy race was because there were records of it in the legends of the Pirate Emperor. Apparently, the Pirate Emperor had once explored a secret realm of the Heaven's Legacy race. A person, a young child, and a cat slowly walked to the front of the magnificent and bright green light barrier. The azure light barrier contained a formless force field that repelled the seawater outside, as well as the life forms outside. With the strength of Zhao Feng and company, they might be able to force their way in, but they didn't dare to act rashly. The Heaven's Legacy race was a race ranked in the top 3 of the 10,000 ancient races. Although the achievements of this race had been buried in the river of history, they had a deep influence on the future. For example, limitless ocean ships, automatons, and the teleportation array, all of these were left behind by the Heaven's Legacy race. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved the array flag and walked toward a certain location in the castle. Soon, Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye saw a black metal door that was still open. The black metal door was dozens of yards tall, and there were 2 rows of guards standing in front of it. They were all automatons, and their bodies were cold. What was even more incredible was that a red light appeared in the eyes of the guards as they looked at Zhao Feng and company with wary expressions. This is a city left behind by the Heaven's Legacy race. We welcome guests from afar. The leader of the guards was clad in heavy dark silver armor. He held a huge steel sword in his hand. However, there is a fee to enter the city. The giant sword guard added. Zhao Feng and the child demigod couldn't help but reveal weird expressions. These automatons had a certain level of intelligence and could communicate with humans. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I didn't find any signs of life. Fee to enter the city? Zhao Feng gave the little thieving cat a look. Meow meow. The little thieving cat took out a pile of middle-grade primal crystal stones and handed them to the giant sword guard. Not enough. The giant sword guard took the middle-grade primal crystal stones and shook his head. Meow meow. The little thieving cat bared its fangs and waved its paws as it tried to bargain with the giant sword guard. The fee to enter the city was sky-high. The little thieving cat then handed over a large amount of high-grade primal crystal stones. The giant sword guard still shook his head mechanically. Not even 1/10 of the primal crystal stones. There was no other way. Zhao Feng could only spend a large amount and take out a large amount of primal crystal stones, including some precious ones. The giant sword guard didn't care about relationships and only followed the rules of death. Finally, after handing over a large amount of primal crystal stones, the giant sword guard slowly raised his hand. Guests from afar, please enter the city. Zhao Feng almost rolled his eyes. This was too much. One had to know that the amount of primal crystal stones he just spent was enough to buy several Earth-grade weapons. Meow meow. The little thieving cat put away the ghost array and led the way into the ancient metal door. The metal guards didn't stop them. Esteemed guests, you're not allowed to destroy public buildings or trespass into restricted areas in the city. If you disobey, you will be chased out of the city or even killed. The giant sword guard warned. Zhao Feng nodded his head in agreement. According to the analysis of his god's spiritual eye, the strength of this giant sword guard was probably comparable to a king. He didn't know how many more of these puppets were in the entire Heaven's Legacy race city, and there might be even stronger existences. After all, the leader of the guards was just a small leader of the city gate. Ta! Ta! Zhao Feng's footsteps were clear as he walked into the world of metal at the bottom of the sea. In this city of steel, one could see squads of steel soldiers patrolling every once in a while. There's no aura of life. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I scanned the area for a long time, but didn't find any auras of life. Meow. The little thieving cat was very excited. It threw a few bronze coins in the air and led the way. On the way, they passed by many tall metal buildings. Some could be entered while others were guarded by guards. Finally, they reached a quiet square with a silver floor, and the little thieving cat slowed down. In the middle of the square, there was a fountain and beautiful music that gave off a magical power that intoxicated the soul. So, the little thieving cat jumped into a shop near the square. This was a city that had been left behind. It had retained its original appearance, and some of its functions had been kept until now. There were also automatons that were responsible for cleaning the streets. The little thieving cat entered a book room with many different types of books inside. Guess from afar? May I serve you? A slender female automaton with a sweet voice and a kind smile appeared. Zhao Feng's face twitched. What kind of weird city was this? In comparison, the automatons in the outside world were weak. Meow meow. The little thieving cat started to communicate with the female automaton. Soon, the little thieving cat used a middle-grade primal crystal stone to trade for a map from the female automaton. This price was much more reasonable than the entrance fee. Zhao Feng looked at the map. It was a map of the entire city, and information would appear when he looked at it. According to the map, there's an antique shop, an appraisal building, a weapon shop, and a material shop nearby. Zhao Feng scanned over it. All in all, this place had all the functions of the Void Ocean Spiritual Palace. What the Void Ocean Spiritual Palace didn't have could be found here. In every functional building, there would be service-type mechanical puppets. Meow. The little thieving cat jumped into another tall building. The map showed that it was a forging building, which mainly focused on strengthening and customizing weapons. What can I do for you? A burly, dark-skinned, middle-aged mechanical man said lightly. Meow. The little thieving cat waved its paw, and a dark dagger appeared in its hand. The dark-skinned, middle-aged mechanical man's eyes lit up. He took the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger and inspected it for a while. The little thieving cat then went into the ancient metal ring and took out a few precious materials. Of course, it still needed to pay a large amount of primal crystal stones. You're still missing a few materials to add a numbing effect to this weapon. You can go to the material shop diagonally across and buy them. The mechanical blacksmith said. Meow meow. The little thieving cat ran into the material shop across the street. Several hours later, after a series of clanging and sizzling sounds, the dark-skinned, middle-aged mechanical man took out the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger from a mysterious furnace. The red glow on the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger started to fade, and a layer of dark gray lines appeared on its surface. Let's see how it works. Zhao Feng was interested. Meow. The little thieving cat waved the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger and lightly slashed the child demigod's arm, leaving behind a small cut. You! The child demigod was stunned. The slashed arm went numb, and the numbing feeling spread throughout his body. He immediately circulated the golden Kuan sacred body and finally got rid of the numbing effect. The Heaven's Legacy Race's civilization is indeed incredible. Zhao Feng was extremely surprised. Even Blacksmith from 3-star powers didn't have the ability to add a rare numbing effect to a legendary weapon like the Shadow Kill Imperial dagger in just a few hours. Guests, what other equipment do you need? I can customize and strengthen them for you, the mechanical blacksmith said. Said the mechanical blacksmith with a slightly eager tone. It had been a long time since a customer had come. His forging shop was depleting origin crystals every day, and he couldn't make ends meet. Look at this weapon of mine. A layer of ice blue water appeared in Zhao Feng's palm and formed an ice blue spear. It was the Ice Imperial Spear. Weapon of the water and ice element. Rank 3. Damaged 10%. Some of its abilities are still lacking. After being repaired, the power of ice will increase by 80%, and it can take on many different forms. Chapter 712. After being repaired, the power of ice has increased by 80%, and it can take on many different forms. Hearing the dark-skinned blacksmith's explanation, Zhao Feng's eyes lit up. Zhao Feng had sensed that the Ice Imperial Spear was damaged to a certain extent. However, he didn't expect the Ice Imperial Spear to take on many different forms after being repaired. If that was the case, Zhao Feng's defense would increase even more. Strengthen it. Zhao Feng handed over the payment and materials. He had a lot of ice elemental materials and primal crystals. After all, Zhao Feng had taken a lot of materials from the Purple Saint ruins and the demigod Forgotten Garden, as well as the spoils of war from killing some kings. The mechanical blacksmith smiled from ear to ear as he accepted the sea of primordial crystals. Although Zhao Feng's heart hurt, this was much more convenient than hiring a blacksmith grandmaster. The Heaven's Legacy race's civilization was beyond everyone's imagination. Zhao Feng couldn't help but remember the information about the Heaven's Legacy race. The Heaven's Legacy race was a race that resembled humans. Their initial strength wasn't strong, and they didn't even have a powerful bloodline. In terms of combat talent, the Heaven's Legacy race wasn't even as good as normal humans. However, this race had the highest intelligence and creativity. All other races, including the ancient race, couldn't catch up to them. The Heaven's Legacy race city in front of them had all kinds of incredible abilities that made people sigh. Now that Zhao Feng thought about it, the large entrance fee was worth it. An hour later, ding ding, CSISI. The blacksmith took out a blue spear that had ice water flowing around it from the mysterious forging furnace. The forging this time was shorter than the little thieving cat's. Zhao Feng took the ice blue spear and felt the power of ice within it. Wang, the ice blue spear, was like liquid, and it formed a dark blue ice armor around Zhao Feng's body. The deep blue ice armor also gave off an extremely cold aura that was enough to freeze all living beings in a radius of several kilometers. As long as Zhao Feng put on this ice armor, no one below the Void God realm would be able to get close to him. Shortly after, the deep blue ice armor transformed into two lifelike ice dragons that circled around Zhao Feng and made all kinds of attack postures. Fortunately, this was the Divine Legacy ancient city. All of the cold energy that dissipated was absorbed by the invisible force field. Not bad, not bad. Zhao Feng was very satisfied. With a thought, the ice blue spear fused into his blood vessels like liquid. The child demigod on the side had an envious expression. However, the number of primal crystal stones he had was extremely limited, so it was very difficult for him to strengthen it. A person, a child, and a cat walked out of the forging shop. Meow meow. The little thieving cat took out the map and studied it with Zhao Feng. This city retained some of the functions left behind by the Heaven's Legacy race civilization. It wasn't easy for him to get in here, so Zhao Feng would naturally use it to its fullest potential. 10,000 Blood Temple. It can strengthen and implant bloodline abilities. The Demonization Well. Demonizing all kinds of pets and living creatures will greatly enhance their combat strength. Array Talisman Tower. We provide customization and optimization of all kinds of formations. Divine Magic Palace. Cultivation techniques for sale. We provide cultivation techniques, and other methods. Zhao Feng's gaze landed on some of the more high-end places. Compared to them, the forging shop he just entered was just a normal shop. The functions of these high-end places were incredible, especially that 10,000 Blood Temple, which could implant powerful bloodline abilities. Legends say that the Heaven's Legacy race once researched the bloodlines of the 10,000 ancient races and even tried to copy the bloodline of the ancient god race. The child demigod sighed. The legends of the Heaven's Legacy race were verified here. Could it be that the 10,000 Blood Palace can implant the bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races? Zhao Feng found it hard to believe. Zhao Feng entered the 10,000 Blood Palace curiously. The building that the 10,000 Blood Palace was in was extremely big, and it had 50 to 60 floors. There were blood pools on every floor, and all kinds of blood grooves and crystal tubes extended from them. May I ask if you want to implant or strengthen your bloodline. An elegant female made of blood-colored light smiled as she looked at Zhao Feng and company. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye scanned over the female, and he didn't see any signs of life within her. He didn't know what kind of species she was. How much does it cost to implant a bloodline? Zhao Feng asked. That depends on what bloodline you want to implant. The elegant female gently flicked her finger, and a blood-colored screen appeared in front of her. Tens of thousands of bloodlines appeared on the screen. Can the bloodlines of the 10,000 ancient races be implanted? Zhao Feng asked. 10,000 ancient races bloodline? That's a top-tier bloodline implant, and it's extremely expensive. We've collected more than 300 bloodlines of the 10,000 ancient races to implant or strengthen. The elegant female pointed out. The 10,000 ancient races bloodlines instantly appeared on the blood-colored screen. It's really possible? Zhao Feng and the child demigod were stunned. Of course, most of the 10,000 ancient races bloodlines were ranked in the hundreds or even thousands. Only 4 or 5 races were ranked in the top 100. Amongst them, the Heaven-Sun Battle Race bloodline was one of them. Implanting a 10,000 ancient races bloodline normally requires first-tier authority. But now that the ruler of this city is gone, it's in desperate need of primal crystal stones, which is why it's open to the public. The elegant female explained. Zhao Feng and the child demigod looked at each other. This was a 10,000 ancient races bloodline. However, when Zhao Feng saw the number of primal crystal stones required, he rolled his eyes. According to the price, even if Zhao Feng took out all the primal crystal stones he had, it still wouldn't be enough. After all, the Heaven-Sun Battle Race bloodline was ranked in the top 100. This is already the price after a 50% discount. Who asked this city to run for so long and run out of energy? The elegant woman in the blood-colored light said with a depressed expression, Can you make it cheaper? Zhao Feng was extremely moved by the 10,000 ancient races bloodline. His eye bloodline was just a byproduct of his bloodline power, so it was a bit messy. Implanting a bloodline is very expensive. However, if you already have a certain bloodline, the cost of strengthening it to a 10,000 ancient races bloodline can be as low as 1/3 or even 1/5. The elegant female said, Let's try. Zhao Feng nodded his head in agreement. The first thing one needed to do was to check the bloodline. Not long after, Zhao Feng sat in front of a weird multi-arm machine. A needle extended out of the machine and stabbed into Zhao Feng's body. Unknown eye bloodline detected. Unable to be strengthened. A voice sounded from the multi-arm machine. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. He almost forgot that his eye bloodline was also a unique bloodline. Ancient ice water bloodline, dragon scale bloodline, and ancient race bloodline have been detected. Can be strengthened to the 89th mystic ice scaled race bloodline. Due to your strong bloodline foundation and the fact that you have the ancient race bloodline, the cost is only 1/10 of the original. The elegant woman in the scarlet light revealed a strange expression as she finished the report. What she found weird was that even the multi-arm machine couldn't detect Zhao Feng's eye bloodline. Apart from that, he also had the ancient race bloodline. If you can provide the original liquid of your eye bloodline, this bloodline strengthening can be done for free. The eyes of the elegant female revealed a fiery heat. A completely new and unknown bloodline piqued her curiosity, and she wanted to study it. I refuse. Zhao Feng shook his head. How could he give the secret of his god's spiritual eye bloodline to someone else? Then do you want to strengthen the bloodline of the mystic ice-scaled race? The bloodline of this race can more than double your ice power, double your body, and triple your defense. The elegant female said, Strengthen it. Under the envious gaze of the child demigod, Zhao Feng agreed. According to the original price, even if Zhao Feng sold everything he had, he still wouldn't be able to afford it. However, his bloodline foundation was already close to the 10,000 ancient races, so strengthening it would only cost 1/10 of the original price. However, even then, in order to gather the money, Zhao Feng had used a vast amount of precious resources on him to exchange for it. Finally, Almost half of the wealth in Zhao Feng's ancient metal ring was used up. In his heart, he felt a pang of pain. After paying the sky-high price, Zhao Feng was brought to the 45th floor and laid in a pool of blood. All you need to do is sleep for 1 day and 1 night, the elegant female said. Immediately following that, a layer of weird blue blood covered Zhao Feng's body. At the same time, there were several dozen needles that stimulated acupuncture points on Zhao Feng's body. Meow meow. The little thieving cat played with the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger as it waited with the child demigod. Implanting a bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races is heaven-defying. This fortune is extremely rare. The child demigod sighed. From his point of view, a bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races was priceless. If he hadn't entered the ancient city of the Heaven's Legacy secret realm, he wouldn't have been able to strengthen a bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races no matter how rich he was. Furthermore, the bloodline that Zhao Feng was strengthening was the Mystic Ice-Scaled Race bloodline, which was ranked 89th. This bloodline's ranking was even higher than the Heaven-Sun battle races. The Mystic Ice-Scaled Race was ranked 3rd among the bloodlines that could be strengthened. May I ask if the Heaven's Legacy race's ancient race duplication plan succeeded? The child demigod asked curiously. The Heaven's Legacy race was the most intelligent and creative race in the world. In the ancient records, this race had many plans and achievements. Of these, the more famous ones were the Time Machine Project and the Ancient Race Replication Project. These plans weren't just ambitious. The Time Machine plan wanted to travel through time and change history to obtain limitless resources. For this, the Heaven's Legacy race tried to hunt down the Light race, which brought about the destruction of their civilization. The Ancient Race Duplication Plan wanted to obtain the perfect Khanate God-Demon body bloodline of the ancient races. The elegant female was extremely surprised. You know about these two plans? But this is a top secret of the Heaven's Legacy race's heaven-defying faction. Even I don't know about it. Heaven-defying faction, as expected. The child demigod's heart shook. He was extremely excited. He was about to touch the truth of the ancient races. Although the Heaven's Legacy race was one race, it was split into 2 factions. One faction was the heaven-defying faction, and the other was the sage faction. The heaven-defying faction was also known as the ambitious faction. They wanted to go against the heavens and replicate the strongest bloodlines in the world. On the other hand, the sage faction wanted to follow the heavens and assist the world. If my guesses aren't wrong, this should be a secret realm city left behind by the Heaven's Legacy race's heaven-defying faction. The child demigod's eyes twinkled. Chapter 7:13. You know quite a bit. The Heaven's Legacy race is the master that created us. Unfortunately, many powerful races teamed up to attack the Heaven's Legacy race, causing too much intelligence to be lost in the river of time. The elegant woman in the blood-red light had a nostalgic expression on her face. At the same time, she inspected the child demigod. This 3-year-old child wasn't simple either. The child demigod also inspected the female for a long time. She wasn't a true life form, but she could mimic human emotions and expressions. The master that created this place was the Heaven's Legacy race, ranked 3rd among the 10,000 ancient races. You were able to come here because of this cat's guidance, right? The elegant female's gaze landed on the little thieving cat. The child demigod paused, and Zhao Feng, who was lying in the pool of blood, revealed a weird expression. Meow. The little thieving cat crossed its paws and seemed smug. The woman in the bloody light smiled. I have a vague impression of this kind of cat in my memory. Hearing that, Zhao Feng couldn't help but be surprised. Unfortunately, the woman only had a vague impression of a race like the little thieving cat. Meow meow. The little thieving cat harumphed as if it was dissatisfied, and it waved its paws and made an expression of one of kind. Thinking about the little thieving cat's incredible abilities and cunning, the child demigod had to admit that it would be hard to find another cat like it. Time passed by slowly. Zhao Feng was soaking in the weird blue blood. Inconceivably, his body was like a magnet, rapidly absorbing the blue blood. It only took half a day. The blue blood was completely absorbed by Zhao Feng. It's several times faster than expected. There's an ancient bloodline within his body. It's not normal. The female was slightly surprised. Zhao Feng slowly opened his eyes, and a wave of blue blood flowed around his body. Wang, in a split second, his entire body was covered in a layer of sparkling and beautiful blue scales. They looked like dragon scales, but they were exquisite and delicate. Zhao Feng felt a surge of mystic ice power in his bloodline, and his every action created the effect of the mystic ice domain. This is the bloodline power of the 10,000 ancient races. Zhao Feng was excited, as if he had an inexhaustible amount of profound ice power. His body strength also increased greatly. In comparison, Goddess Bingwei, one of the former peerless prodigies of the Azure Flower Continent, had an ice bloodline that was not worth mentioning. Let's test the effect. Zhao Feng slowly rose to his feet and took a deep breath. An imperious, icy aura encapsulated the entire place. Hiss! The child demigod and the little thieving cat both felt a bone-chilling coldness. Under Zhao Feng's orders, the child demigod and the little thieving cat attacked. Bam! 70% of the child demigod's power condensed into a single point and landed on Zhao Feng. Pung! Zhao Feng's figure swayed slightly. The lustrous blue scales on the surface of his body were exquisite and smooth, bright and beautiful, but not even a trace was left behind. However, the intent of the child demigod's fist was not simple, and it directly shook Zhao Feng's heart and organs. However, the remaining power didn't do any actual damage to Zhao Feng. What strong defense! My hand! Frost started to spread on the child demigod's fist, and the power of ice seemed to devour his entire body. Anyone that got close to or attacked Zhao Feng would be sealed in ice. Meow meow! The shadow kill imperial dagger in the little thieving cat's hand flashed and slashed onto Zhao Feng's body. Ding! A long and thin mark was left on Zhao Feng's shoulder, and it gave off a numbing feeling. The shadow kill imperial dagger's attack seemed to ignore normal physical defense, because it was an attack that existed between physical and shadow. However, Zhao Feng had the mystic ice-scaled race bloodline, so his defense was extremely strong, and his recovery speed didn't lose the reputation of being a member of the 10,000 ancient races. On the other hand, the little thieving cat's teeth started to chatter as it retreated several yards. This bloodline power is both offensive and defensive, and the freezing effect is everywhere. It's even stronger than when Lan's Heaven-Sun battle race bloodline. Zhao Feng nodded his head in satisfaction. Lan's Heaven-Sun battle race bloodline was ranked 98th, while Zhao Feng's Mystic Ice-scaled race bloodline was ranked 89th. Congratulations, the bloodline strengthening effect is very good. The female in blood-colored light said with a smile. The child demigod's eyes were filled with envy. Although he had top-tier body-strengthening talent, he didn't have a bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races. If his bloodline was stronger, like the 10,000 ancient races, he might have been able to pass through the God tribulation in his previous life. However, bloodlines were something that one was born with and couldn't obtain. This Zhao Feng's luck is too great. He actually has such great fortune. The child demigod was even slightly jealous. The little thieving cat had brought a lot of luck and fortune to Zhao Feng. It's extremely rare to be able to enter the Heaven's legacy race ruins this time. I probably won't have such a chance in the future. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. The Pirate Emperor's inheritance usually didn't last more than half a month. Maybe he wouldn't have the chance to come here in the future. However, more than half of the primal crystal stones Zhao Feng had used up was used to strengthen the bloodline. It wasn't enough to strengthen the 10,000 ancient races bloodline. Do you have any Bone Dao bloodlines here? I don't need them. Zhao Feng asked. He had seen a list before, and the 10,000 ancient races bloodlines were dozens or even hundreds of times more expensive than normal bloodlines. There's a total of 249. The female in blood-colored light once again opened the blood-colored interface. Zhao Feng took a look and realized that the cost this time was much lower. I need a large number to strengthen these ghost corpses. Zhao Feng waved his hand and took out a cursed ghost corpse. Test it first. The female in blood-colored hair was very straightforward. Soon after, the multi-arm machine started to test the cursed ghost corpse. Found primordial bloodline factor, ghost bone body. A voice came from the multi-arm machine. The results surprised both Zhao Feng and the female in blood-colored hair. Ghost bone body. This was normal. All 100 cursed ghost corpses had this body. But the primordial bloodline factor was different. With the primordial bloodline factor, the price will be reduced by 1/5 to 1/10. The female in blood-colored hair said. Then, Zhao Feng started to choose on the blood-colored interface. Knowing that Zhao Feng needed cheap and practical ones, the female in blood-colored hair gave a recommendation. I suggest strengthening it to the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline. It can retain the power of the corpse, and even if the ghost bone is broken, it can be reconstructed. The female in blood-colored hair said. Zhao Feng looked at it. The 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline didn't have outstanding offensive and defensive abilities, but it could at least double the physical strength of the ghost corpses. After all, these ghost corpses weren't as strong as Zhao Feng's. Even if they didn't have a 10,000 ancient races bloodline, the increase in strength would still be huge. The 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline's strongest point was its ability to survive. Even if the bones were broken, they could be reconstructed. The ghost corpse cursed array doesn't need ghost corpses to kill. It needs the power of the array. Zhao Feng nodded his head. Furthermore, the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline was relatively cheap. Because the cursed ghost corpses had absorbed a large amount of flesh and blood from the ancient dream realm, they had merged with the primordial bloodline factor. This way, the cost of strengthening them was 1/7 of the original. In total, the cost of strengthening 100 cursed ghost corpses wasn't even 1/4 of what Zhao Feng had spent. 100 ghost corpses will take 7 days. The female in blood-colored hair said. Zhao Feng nodded his head and left the cursed ghost corpses and skeletal division leader in the 10,000 blood palace. The skeletal division leader also had the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline, which was considered a top-tier bloodline compared to its original body. Next, Zhao Feng continued to stroll through the ancient city of steel. I only have 30% of the resources I can use. Zhao Feng's finances were a bit tight. He had accumulated a large amount of resources from the Purple Saint ruins, and he had even fought against the pirate emperor in the demigod Forgotten Garden. However, he had used up 70% of his resources in the Heaven's Legacy City. The child demigod obviously knew about Zhao Feng's situation, so he didn't ask for too much. It was already good enough that Zhao Feng didn't restrict his resources. 3 days later, Zhao Feng arrived at the Divine Techniques Palace. In the Divine Techniques Palace, there were secret manuals for sale, as well as all kinds of cultivation methods and solutions. There were even techniques that surpassed the Wind Lightning Inheritance and the Golden Kuan Sacred Body. However, the price was sky high. It was only second to the 10,000 ancient races bloodline. Guess from afar, what techniques do you need? An elegant old man in white light smiled kindly. His gaze was weird when it landed on the little thieving cat, but it quickly disappeared. I need to strengthen my techniques. Zhao Feng told him why he was here. He had the 5-elemental 10,000 lightning technique, the Golden Kuan Sacred Body, and the Wind Lightning Inheritance. Zhao Feng's goal was to use them as a foundation to merge them. Let me see. The scholarly elder smiled faintly. Zhao Feng knew that this was only an illusory automaton. It wasn't a living being and couldn't cultivate. He gave the 5-elemental 10,000 lightning technique, the Golden Kuan Sacred Body, the Wind Lightning Inheritance, and other information to the scholarly elder. Yes, I have something similar to these 3 legacy cultivation techniques in my database. I have the original versions of the 5-elemental 10,000 lightning technique and the Golden Kuan Sacred Body. The elegant elder in white light smiled confidently. Hearing that, the child demigod was shocked. I can change the golden Kuan sacred body into the golden Kuan sacred lightning body and lower the body strengthening requirements. It's more suitable for you to cultivate. The elegant elder in white light paused for a moment. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. The child demigod's mouth dropped open. The scholarly elder continued. I can merge the wind lightning inheritance and the 5-elemental 10,000 lightning technique into the 5-elemental wind lightning technique. Its power will increase dramatically, and it doesn't require a lightning spiritual body. 5-elemental wind lightning technique. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. The 5-elemental wind lightning technique merged with the wind lightning inheritance and the ancient 5-elemental 10,000 lightning technique. This way, Zhao Feng's wind lightning inheritance will be made up for. Of course, the cost of these two sets wasn't low. Because your wind lightning inheritance has filled up my database, I'll give you a 40% discount. Choose the best fusion. Zhao Feng gritted his teeth and used the last of his resources. 3 days later, the scholarly elder handed 2 books of light over to Zhao Feng. 1. The 2 books of light quickly merged into Zhao Feng's mind. Golden Kuan Sacred Lightning Body uses 10,000 lightning to form a peerless sacred lightning body. The highest level one can reach is the true God realm. 5-elemental wind lightning technique. Using wind and lightning as the framework, evolve the 5 elemental phenomena and control the metal, wood, water, fire, and earth wind lightning. Chapter 714. Zhao Feng scanned over the golden Kuan sacred lightning body and the 5 elemental wind lightning technique. The requirements to cultivate these 2 techniques were much lower than the original inheritance. On the other hand, the power of the inheritance had increased. The golden Kuan sacred lightning body had surpassed the original golden Kuan sacred body by an entire level. Ridiculous! The child demigod clenched his fists as jealousy and unwillingness filled his heart. In the past, he gave the golden Kuan sacred body to Zhao Feng because he was sure that Zhao Feng wouldn't be able to cultivate it to the late stages within 1,000 years. However, Zhao Feng used his soul to absorb the god tribulation lightning. And now, after fusing with the golden Kuan sacred lightning body, the cultivation techniques level had risen, and the cultivation requirements had been lowered. Furthermore, it had formed a connection with the Tao of lightning. I forgot to tell you, the golden Kuan sacred lightning body and the 5 elemental wind lightning technique are complementary techniques. The scholarly elder reminded. The golden Kuan sacred lightning body was a body strengthening technique, but it needed the 5 elemental wind lightning technique to help it. If one didn't cultivate the 5 elemental wind lightning technique, it would be very difficult to cultivate the golden Kuan sacred lightning body. This fusion-optimized cultivation technique is indeed different. Zhao Feng used his god's spiritual eye to copy all the content. However, the smile on his face didn't last long. That was until he saw the direction of the 5 elemental wind lightning technique. The 5 elemental wind lightning technique is split into 12 levels. The first 3 levels are the foundations of wind lightning. From the 4th level onwards, one starts to cultivate the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. The 10th level is the endless cycle of the 5 elements. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed tightly. The 5 elemental wind lightning technique did indeed surpass the wind lightning inheritance. However, Zhao Feng's wind lightning inheritance had reached the late stages, and it was on a completely different path from the 5 elemental wind lightning technique. If I cultivate the 5 elemental wind lightning technique, doesn't that mean I have to recultivate it? Zhao Feng's face twitched. That's right. You have the foundation of the wind lightning inheritance, and you'll be able to surpass yourself in 10 years if you cultivate the 5 elemental wind lightning technique again. The elegant old man did not deny it. 10 years? Black lines appeared on Zhao Feng's forehead. 10 years was nothing to an ordinary person. However, it had only been 10 years since Zhao Feng started cultivating. If things were peaceful now, Zhao Feng would definitely be willing to recultivate the 5 elemental wind thunder technique and complement it with the golden koan sacred body. After all, these two sets of cultivation technique inheritances could allow him to go further. But now, Zhao Feng was facing the pursuit of death. Where did he have the time to cultivate again? There is indeed nothing perfect in this world. The child demigod felt a little better, and he started to gloat. Zhao Feng's current situation was like sitting on a mountain of treasure, but he didn't have the time to dig it out. All of a sudden, Zhao Feng's expression was uncertain. After a long while, he took a deep breath and made a decision. At this stage, it was impossible for him to recultivate the 5 elemental wind thunder technique and the golden koan sacred body. This was unrealistic. I can only think about it after the pursuit of death is over. Zhao Feng's emotions started to calm down. Even a demigod would be jealous of him being able to enter the city of the heavens legacy race. Zhao Feng expressionlessly walked out of the Divine Techniques Palace. It's only been 10 years. Young people nowadays are too impulsive. The elegant male sent Zhao Feng off with his eyes and couldn't help but shake his head. Within the city of steel, Zhao Feng slowly walked forward and started to tidy up his ancient metal ring. The interior of the ancient iron ring was empty. More than 90% of the vast amount of resources and precious materials of the past were gone. He was extremely poor right now, and he could only sigh as he looked at this city of the heavens legacy race filled with fortune. Several days later, within the 10,000 blood palace, 100 cursed ghost corpses have all been strengthened to the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline. The female in blood-colored light said with a smile. Zhao Feng inspected them one by one. These cursed ghost corpses were even skinnier, and they were like dry skeletons. However, the strength of these ghost corpses had more than doubled compared to 7 days ago. After merging with the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline, their survivability had increased dramatically. Even if they were destroyed, they could still be repaired. Furthermore, as the bloodline merged with them, the cultivation of these ghost corpses also started to increase. Up until now, the cultivation of these ghost corpses was between the late stage and peak small origin core realm. This was enough to sweep across the Azure Flower continent and the 10 great clans. The skeletal division leader had also merged with the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline, and it was even stronger. Master, the skeletal division leader was filled with excitement. It never thought that it would have such a day. Even the Scarlet Moon demonic religion from back then couldn't be compared to the ghost cursed array. If it wasn't for Zhao Feng, it wouldn't have been able to reach this step. Zhao Feng nodded his head in satisfaction and put away the ghost cursed array. I still have less than 10% of the resources left. Zhao Feng's eyes spun. His gaze soon landed on the little thieving cat. The little thieving cat's bloodline was definitely not weak, and it shouldn't be any weaker than the 10,000 ancient races. Can you check the origin of this cat's bloodline? Zhao Feng asked. Hee. I'm also very interested in this cat's origin. I'll give it to you for free. The female smiled and said. Even the child demigod revealed a curious expression. Ever since he had revived, he had been bullied by this cat and couldn't even raise his head. If he could find out the origin of this cat, he would have a way to deal with it in the future. Thinking up to there, the child demigod started to look forward to it. Meow meow. The little thieving cat walked in front of the multi-armed machine. A sharp needle extended from the multi-armed machine and stabbed into the little thieving cat's body. However, several breaths passed, and the multi-armed machine didn't give an answer. All of a sudden, the multi-armed machine shuddered and stopped its examination. The female revealed a shocked expression as she inspected the little thieving cat in disbelief. Heaven's legacy cat, mysterious bloodline, top secret. The multi-armed machine said emotionlessly. Heaven's legacy cat? Zhao Feng and the child demigod looked at each other. They hadn't heard of this race before. Sorry, this is top secret. The female seemed to know something, but she couldn't say it. Meow. The little thieving cat had a smug expression as it returned to Zhao Feng's shoulder. The female had a complicated expression as she looked at the weird combination of a human, a child, and a cat. She couldn't detect Zhao Feng's eye bloodline at all. There's a bit of information about the little thieving cat's bloodline in the database, but it was top secret. Thank you. Zhao Feng said goodbye to the female in bloody light. After walking out of the 10,000 Blood Palace, Zhao Feng started to think. He still had less than 10% of his resources left, and he didn't know if they could be used. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, Zhao Feng thought. How was he going to spend the last 10% of his resources? After leaving this time, he might not have another chance to enter a city of the Heaven's Legacy race. An hour later, Zhao Feng arrived at the array tower. The array tower provided customization and refinement of arrays. Zhao Feng's goal was to improve the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array. After all, the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array was created by the purple Saint Partial Spirit, and its potential was almost at its limit. Guessed from afar, "What service do you need?" A female wearing a gown smiled and asked. Zhao Feng went straight to the point and stated his intentions. He took out the diagram of the ghost corpse's formation and placed a cursed 100 corpses on it. This isn't hard. The female gave off a noble aura and soon agreed. However, the last 10% of Zhao Feng's resources were used up. Several hours later, a brand new ghost corpse cursed array landed in Zhao Feng's hands. The new ghost corpse cursed array's strength has increased by 60%, and it has the ability to trap, kill, and hallucinate. The female said confidently, "Great." The skeletal division leader was extremely excited after receiving the array. After walking out of the array tower, Zhao Feng touched his empty, ancient metal ring and couldn't help but let out a long sigh. I wonder if I'll have the chance to come here again in the future. Zhao Feng wanted more. A human, a child, and a cat left this ancient city of steel. After stepping out of the barrier, Zhao Feng's expression froze. Outside the city of steel, demonic hell vines covered the sky. In just a short 10 days, the outside world had been replaced by the demonic hell vines. There are actually 8 demonic hell vine kings. Zhao Feng sensed the demonic hell vine king he controlled and knew what was happening. The strength of the 8 demonic hell vine kings had all reached the limit of a king. Without saying anything, Zhao Feng opened his eye bloodline and controlled the other 7 demonic hell vine kings. Half a day later, Zhao Feng left the ocean of vines and took out 8 ice bottles. Each of the 8 bottles had a demonic hell vine king sealed within them. Of course, the ocean of vines didn't stop. A few days after Zhao Feng left, the ocean of vines almost reached the Heaven's Legacy Ray City. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Several large metal battleships flew out of the Heaven's Legacy Ray City. Each of them was several hundred yards long. Many strange Ryukis fell from the warships. The Ryuki is transformed into terrifying black flames that quickly destroyed the sea of vines, leaving only ashes behind. At this moment, Zhao Feng had returned to the center of the island zone. He looked at the secret dimension and felt that the secrets here weren't limited to the Heaven's Legacy Ray City. However, the secrets of the Heaven's Legacy race were only the tip of the iceberg. Maybe Zhao Feng's search was only the tip of the iceberg. However, the secret of the Pirate Emperor had finally been revealed. Tens of thousands of years ago, the Pirate Emperor was lucky enough to find this Heaven's Legacy secret dimension. But he wasn't able to completely control this place, even though he was a Mechanism's Grandmaster and Array Grandmaster. After the Pirate Emperor died, he used this Heaven's Legacy secret dimension to set up his inheritance. If it weren't for the fact that this was the foundation of the Heaven's Legacy secret dimension, the Pirate Emperor's inheritance wouldn't be so grand. Even emperors and sacred lords wouldn't be able to force their way in. At the center of the 18 Corners Canyon, a 1,000-yard-tall whirlpool created a terrifying power of heaven and earth that could crush anything. The Pirate Emperor's inheritance is about to end. The Yin-Yang Lord's voice sounded from the ship of death. At this moment, apart from Wenlon and the Yin-Yang Lord, there were 2 other Death Spirit Lords on the ship. One was male, and the other was female. They were covered in darkness. 3 Death Spirit Lords, 26 Death Guards, and Master will be here in a few days. Zhao Feng, let's see how you'll escape this time. A cold smile appeared on Wen Luan's face. Chapter 715. Heaven's Legacy Secret Realm, Central Island Zone. This was the Pirate Emperor's inheritance, sacred land. By the time Zhao Feng returned, a new Pirate King had been appointed to each of the 18 peaks. The cultivation of some of the newly promoted Pirate Kings had obviously increased. Among them, 2 or 3 new half-step kings had broken through to Void God Realm under the inheritance's power. In the center of the 18 isolated mountains, the huge mountain was covered in a strange black and white light. A huge, invisible force field isolated everything from the outside world. The Cold Moon King's inheritance isn't over yet. Zhao Feng found a corner and sat down cross-legged, squinting his eyes. According to previous experience, the Pirate Emperor's inheritance usually didn't last for more than half a month. He wasn't in a rush, and he sat down to familiarize himself with his bloodline power. Wang, a faint layer of blue scales appeared on Zhao Feng's body, and they were exquisite and bright. The blue-line blood within his body started to circulate. The Ice Imperial Spear had merged into the new 10,000 ancient races bloodline. My bloodline power, the Ice Imperial Spear, has been strengthened. Zhao Feng was very satisfied. Although he didn't obtain any inheritance or resources from the Pirate Emperor's inheritance, it was a great fortune to be able to enter the Heaven's Legacy Race City. Zhao Feng hated himself for not having enough resources. From the Purple Saint Ruins to the Demigod Forgotten Garden, he had used up all the resources he had accumulated. Of course, compared to what he had obtained, this was more than enough. The bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races was priceless. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had also obtained the 5 elemental wind lightning technique and the Golden Kuin's sacred lightning body. Apart from that, the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array and the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array had all been strengthened. Meow. The little thieving cat played with the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger on the side with a satisfied expression. Little thieving cat. The child demigod appeared and started to communicate with the little thieving cat. Meow meow. The little thieving cat nodded its head and started to move around the Central Island Zone with the child demigod. The Central Island Zone that had just calmed down became chaotic once more. The 2 little fiends began to plunder the resources of the pirates on the Central Island. Zhao Feng frowned, but didn't stop him. He understood that the child demigod was worried about the lack of resources and was working with the little thieving cat. As long as he didn't go too far, Zhao Feng would turn a blind eye to it. After all, these pirates were not good people either. In just half a day, the child demigod and the little thieving cat managed to steal a sizable amount of resource crystals. On the other hand, there was a wave of panic on the island. The pirates were furious and unwilling. Among them, several pirate kings were knocked unconscious, and their resources were all plundered. Master, this is half of what you deserve. The child demigod gave half of the resources to Zhao Feng. The remaining resources would be split between him and the little thieving cat. These 2 little fellows actually know how to bribe. Zhao Feng's expression changed. However, a moment later, the giant shark king led 4 or 5 kings and a group of pirate experts over. Zhao Feng, your cat and servant are robbing all over the island and don't care about their factions. The giant shark king and the other pirate kings came. Zhao Feng glared fiercely at the little thieving cat and the child demigod. Not only did these 2 fellows rob the pirates under the giant shark king's faction, they also dragged in the subordinates of the Cold Moon King's faction. After all, these pirate forces were extremely complicated. It was impossible for the little thieving cat and the child demigod to recognize all of them. You pirates fight and kill each other on the island, bullying the weak with your strength. My pet cat and servant are just participating in your game. Zhao Feng said calmly. The expressions of the pirates froze. In order to fight for resources and fortune, they would kill each other on the same side, but they didn't dare to do it so openly. Oomph. The child demigod snickered. you ignorant pirates. If it weren't for Master and me, would you have been able to open the pirate emperor's inheritance so smoothly? The older pirate kings were speechless. In the battle against Emperor Mu Yun, Zhao Feng and the child demigod had played a crucial role. I'll give the pirate emperor's inheritance to you without taking a single cent. I'm giving you young pirates a chance to stand out, Zhao Feng said in a serious tone. Hearing that, the two newly promoted pirate kings were speechless. Zhao Feng and the child demigod didn't touch the pirate emperor's inheritance and gave it to the pirates. Of course, if any of you aren't happy, you can find me to teach you a thing or two. Zhao Feng sat cross-legged the entire time. The faint undulations of soul power and bloodline power radiating from his body made the hearts of the pirates feel like they were in an ice house. The giant Shark King's expression kept on changing. The Zhao Feng in his vision was becoming more and more unfathomable. This included the golden-skinned child and the mysterious little thieving cat. One had to know that this weird combination didn't even bother with the pirate emperor's inheritance. Zhao Feng, since you're willing to take on the sins of the cat and servant, then take a punch from me. Let's see if you have the ability to protect them. The giant Shark King said in a deep tone. Giant Shark King, there's no need to beat around the bush if you want to test my strength. Zhao Feng laughed. The giant Shark King wanted to punish him, but he didn't know Zhao Feng's true strength. This was especially true when Zhao Feng disappeared from the island a few days ago. Good. You're indeed honest. The giant Shark King, will test your true strength. The giant Shark King laughed. Soon, Zhao Feng and the giant Shark King stood in the middle of an empty area. There was no one else within a few hundred yards. Ancient giant power. The giant Shark King roared, his dead, shell-like skin swelled and expanded. His body started to expand, and he turned into a half-human, half-shark that was twice the size of a normal person. Boom! He punched out, and the surrounding void seemed to be faintly shaking. The bloodline aura of an ancient giant shark and terrifying physical strength caused the nearby pirates' bloodlines to tremble. The giant Shark King's punch is just a test. He didn't use any domain power. Zhao Feng's expression was normal. The giant metal fist in his field of vision started to glow with a gray light and became even bigger than a millstone. The terrifying power of this punch was enough to kill a normal king. Then let's try. Zhao Feng stood where he was and circulated his blue-patterned blood. His body was covered in a layer of beautiful blue scales that looked like the scales of the ancient dragon race, but they were exquisite and exquisite. In that instant, with Zhao Feng as the center, an extreme cold energy froze everything within 10 miles. Some of the weaker pirates were instantly frozen. The giant Shark King's ancient punch had yet to even get close when his body started to freeze. An ancient and domineering cold aura caused his soul to tremble slightly. The giant Shark King's ancient shark bloodline started to tremble uneasily, as if it was being suppressed. That bloodline, could it be? The giant Shark King exclaimed. Bam! Zhao Feng's scale-covered palm was covered in a layer of half-transparent blue light and blocked the giant Shark King's fist. The fist and palm were tightly pressed together. The terrifying physical strength caused cracks to appear on the ground within a 10-mile radius. A crack half a yard wide started to spread with the two at the center. This was the pirate emperor's inheritance, sacred land. If this was the outside world, this power would be able to level a normal island. Boom! Zhao Feng and the giant Shark King were pushed back by the rebound. The two didn't seem to be injured. The giant Shark King's arm was covered in a layer of frost and seemed slightly stiff. 10,000 ancient races bloodline. The giant Shark King was stunned. In that instant just now, Zhao Feng's bloodline suppressed his giant Shark King's bloodline. He could only use 50 to 60% of his bloodline's power. The physical strength that Zhao Feng displayed wasn't much weaker than his. If it weren't for the fact that the giant Shark King had a big advantage in terms of cultivation and bloodline awakening, he might have lost just now. This Zhao Feng has a 10,000 ancient races bloodline. He hit it really well. The pirates on the field all turned pale with fright. A legendary bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races had appeared on this youth. As expected of the mystic ice-scaled race bloodline that's ranked in the top 100. He's able to fight against a peak-tier king 4 or 5 ranks higher. Although the giant shark king didn't use his domain or true yuan, it's still not enough. The child demigod sighed in his heart. Zhao Feng's cultivation was close to the peak Great Origin core realm. Compared to the giant shark king, there were still half-step void god realms, early-stage void god realms, middle-stage void god realms, late-stage void god realms, and finally peak void god realms. Mystic ice-scaled race, ranked 89th in the immemorial mythical bloodline. The giant shark king took in a cold breath and couldn't calm himself down. One had to know that his bloodline wasn't simple either, and it was close to the 10,000 ancient races. In the battle against Emperor Mu Yun, he was the main force, and he was the only one that could fight against an emperor head-on. However, the rankings of the 10,000 ancient races were different. Most of the legendary bloodlines that came from the ancient races had already gone extinct. Although the 10,000 ancient races were called the 10,000 ancient races, there were only 1,000 or so races recorded. Every bloodline in the top 100 had heaven-defying abilities. Inheritance bloodline. Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. Some inheritance information appeared in his bloodline, including some bloodline secret techniques. Only a portion of this bloodline information had surfaced, but its brilliance had already surpassed the wind and lightning inheritance. Zhao Feng, we've underestimated you. The giant shark king took a deep breath and left the area with the other pirate kings. One had to admit that the current Zhao Feng had the battle power to fight against the peak-tier king. After all, he had the speed of wind lightning and his mysterious eye bloodline. The life force and recovery speed of the 10,000 ancient races' bloodlines were countless times stronger than normal bloodlines. Furthermore, the child demigod and the little thieving cat were both mysterious and didn't take action. As time passed, Zhao Feng's name spread across the island zone. At a certain moment, Wang, the black and white light on the mountain in the center, started to retract. Following that, a perfect soul aura spread across the heavens and the earth, emitting a tremendous pressure. This aura, the hearts of the pirates on the island froze. A light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. The pirate emperor's main inheritance isn't to be underestimated. It seems like it has the ability to quickly become an emperor. The child demigod had a complicated expression as he looked toward the mountain in the center. In a layer of moonlight, there was a tall and slender, icy beauty. She had a sword and blade on her back and a crown on her head. Her eyes were like crescent moons, and they were cold as she gazed at the mountains. Chapter 716. Greetings, Pirate Emperor. The pirates all knelt down and worshipped her. The Cold Moon King had already come out of the Pirate Emperor's inheritance. The sky was replaced by a layer of cold moonlight, as if she had entered a desolate world. The formless and immaterial cold moonlight was like mercury, pervasive and pervasive, permeating the void of heaven and earth. The pirate lords present felt as if their bodies were being cut by an icy blade. The coldness was like countless moonlight blades that pierced through the world of souls. If needed, she could disintegrate everything with just a thought. She's actually this fast. The giant shark king was dazed, and the fear in his eyes was replaced by respect. More accurately, it would be more accurate to call the Cold Moon King the Cold Moon Emperor. Peak Void God Realm. Her soul has evolved to the point of perfection, becoming as transparent as a mirror. She is fused with heaven and earth, reaching a highly ideal level. Zhao Feng's god's spiritual, I saw the changes in the Cold Moon King's body. The Cold Moon Emperor's spatial domain had merged with the heavens and earth nearby, making it impossible to find any flaws. Apart from that, the mysterious crown on the Cold Moon Emperor's head also caught Zhao Feng's attention. This mysterious crown seemed to have a mysterious connection with the 18 corners of Solitary Peak and a main peak in the middle. Not only had the Cold Moon King become an emperor, but the mysterious crown also gave her a protective power. Pirate Emperor. The reshuffled 18 Corners Pirate Kings stepped forward and expressed their loyalty, submitting one by one. The mysterious crown on the Cold Moon Emperor's head allowed her to command other pirate lords. Congratulations, Cold Moon Emperor. From now on, you'll be the ruler of this pirate sacred land. The giant Shark King squeezed out a smile and bowed slightly. He, who was as strong as a peak tier king, also submitted to the Cold Moon Emperor. The Pirate Emperor commanded the 18 Corners Pirate Lords and ruled the entire pirate sacred land. This was the rule of the pirate sacred land that had existed for tens of thousands of years. The Cold Moon Emperor stood at the peak in terms of both strength and authority. Zhao Feng, it's all thanks to you that we were able to succeed. The Cold Moon Emperor's eyes revealed a rare smile and gratefulness. Whoosh! With one step, the Cold Moon Emperor arrived next to Zhao Feng as if she had appeared out of thin air. Zhao Feng was astonished. Even a martial monarch shouldn't have the ability to cross thousands of miles with a single step. I become the new Pirate Emperor and am protected by the power of the Pirate Emperor Sacred Land. This time limit is 10 years, and within these 10 years, I cannot leave the 18 Corners Pirate Sacred Land. The Cold Moon Emperor explained. Although the Pirate Emperor's inheritance could allow one to become a great emperor quickly, not every new Pirate Emperor could become a great emperor so quickly. Those who had just become the Pirate Emperor would receive the protection of the Pirate Holy Land. The Cold Moon King was a peak tier king and had touched the level of an emperor, which was why she was able to become an emperor so easily. With the protection of the Pirate Emperor crown, the Cold Moon King didn't need to fear any emperor for 10 years. At this moment, buzz, an invisible suction force came from a huge whirlpool near the sea. None of the living beings in the outside world could resist that power. The Pirate Emperor's sacred inheritance is about to close. The Cold Moon Emperor ordered the 18 Corners Pirate Kings to leave the inheritance sacred land. Zhao Feng put away the ghost ship, sat on the Cold Moon Emperor's ship, and entered the whirlpool. In the outside world, at the center of the 18 Corners Canyon, rumble. At the center of the whirlpool, legendary pirate warships appeared one after another. The auras of monarchs and emperors surged out. After leaving the Pirate Emperor's sacred land, the strength of the Pirate Kings had increased. After entering the 18 Corners Canyon, Zhao Feng felt that the connection between the ghost ship and the pirate sacred land had been cut off. Now, he was no longer restricted, and he could leave on the ghost ship whenever he wanted. Several thousand miles away, in the depths of the limitless ocean, a ship of death sank to the bottom of the ocean, and it was deathly silent. Reporting to the Death Spirit Lord, Third Highness, the pirates have all come out of the inheritance sacred land. A death guard half knelt on the side of the ship. Has Zhao Feng come out yet? When Luan's warm face was filled with impatience. Shua. At this moment, another death guard arrived in a flash. Reporting, there's bad news. A new pirate emperor has been born in the Pirate Alliance, and he's become an emperor. The death guard who came later said, Pirate Emperor, Void God Realm Emperor. The expressions of the Yin Yang Lord and the other two Death Spirit Lords changed dramatically. The Pirate Alliance had many Void God Realm Kings, and there was even an Emperor Pirate Emperor. The situation wasn't looking good. The new Pirate Emperor will be protected by the Pirate's sacred land, and he'll be hard to defeat. A female in black robes with a pale face was surrounded by a weird white flame. Her skin was pale white, and she was like a female ghost. She was also one of the Death Spirit Lords. The other Death Spirit Lord was a dark-skinned male whose body seemed to be weightless. He had a pair of dark green eyes that floated in the air. Witch King, Dark Soul King, tell your subordinates to retract the aura of the token of death. Death Guard spread out. The Yin Yang Lord ordered. A Pirate Emperor has appeared. Wen Luan had an unwilling expression. Not only could they not chase after Zhao Feng, but they also had to avoid him. We need to keep an eye on Zhao Feng now. Master's recuperation will be brought forward. In a few days, everything will be over. The Yin-Yang Lord's voice was deep and hoarse, and it seemed to contain Yin and Yang. Of the 4 Death Spirit Lords, the Yin-Yang Lord was a peak-tier king, and he was the strongest. I must take revenge. The Black Hell King died for me once, and he still hasn't recovered. Wen Luan clenched his fists as killing intent flashed through his eyes. So, Wen Luan had used a special method to bring a Death Spirit Lord into the Demigod Forgotten Garden. However, the laws of the Demigod Forgotten Garden were extremely strong, and other external forces couldn't come out. In the final explosion, the Black Hell King that he brought along withstood the devouring power of the Forbidden Core and was directly annihilated. At that time, Wen Luan's cultivation dropped because of this. Although the Black Hell King had a wisp of his consciousness left, he still hadn't recovered. Therefore, only 3 Death Spirit Lords were sent out for this pursuit of death. Luan, bear with it for now. When Zhao Feng leaves the Pirate Emperor's sacred land, or when the Emperor arrives, everything will end. The Pale White Witch King tried to persuade him. At the center of the 18 Corners Canyon, Zhao Feng, are you really not going to come to my banquet? I still owe you a favor. I haven't had time to repay it. The Cold Moon Emperor said with a smile. Only when her gaze landed on Zhao Feng did a rare smile appear on her cold face. Her expression was slightly mischievous, as if she was looking at little brother. Respectable Pirate Emperor, this subordinate has urgent matters to attend to and can't stay any longer. Please understand, Zhao Feng said half-jokingly. Although his words were respectful, it wasn't respectful at all. After the life-and-death battles of the Pirate Emperor, the two of them had fought side by side and developed a kind of friendship. All right, I won't force you. If you have any trouble in the future, you can come and find me. I won't be leaving the 18 Corners Pirate Sacred Land in the next 20 years. The Cold Moon Emperor was slightly disappointed. Normal Pirate Emperors wouldn't stay as a Pirate Emperor for the rest of their lives after becoming a Void God Realm Emperor. Emperors pursued the pinnacle of the Tao and the true meaning of eternal life. The heavenly divine realm was their goal. The benefits of slaughter would become less and less attractive to emperors. Of course, due to the pirate crown, the Cold Moon Emperor had to stay for at least 10 years. She had some feelings for the pirate's sacred land and would stay for 10 to 20 years before leaving in search of a higher realm. Goodbye. Zhao Feng didn't plan to stay. So, the ghost ship flew through the air and disappeared from the Pirate King's sight. This Zhao Feng is really hard to see through. From the start, he didn't care about the position of Pirate Emperor or Pirate King. The golden-haired male and bearded middle-aged man sent the ghost ship off with their eyes. You can't see through him, but neither can I, including that golden-skinned child and the mysterious cat. The Cold Moon Emperor murmured. Zhao Feng's arrival had not only allowed them to fight side by side, he had also changed her life and destiny. Her life was completely different now that she had become a Void God Realm Emperor. A day later, the ghost ship flew a long distance and arrived at the edge of the 18 Corners Pirate Sacred Land. Master, the new Ghost Corp's cursed array has been completed. The Skeletal Division leader reported a piece of good news. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng sat cross-legged, but his eyebrows were furrowed with a solemn expression. Little Kuan Yin, do you feel it? Zhao Feng suddenly spoke. Indeed, we seem to have been targeted. At the start, I thought it was the pirates, but now we're about to leave the 18 Corners Pirate Sacred Land. The child demigod nodded his head and said, Meow meow. The little thieving cat also came out and threw a few old bronze coins onto the ground. The child demigod's expression didn't change as he looked at the little thieving cat. This little thieving cat's name was Heaven's Legacy Cat in the Heaven's Legacy Race's underwater city. However, this type of cat had never been heard of in the 10,000 ancient races or in some famous bloodlines of the future. The Heaven's Legacy race is split into the Heaven-defying faction and the Sage faction. This cat knows divination. Could it be related to the Sage faction? The child demigod said deeply. At this moment, Zhao Feng snickered coldly as he disappeared from the ghost ship. Shua! Zhao Feng stood on the deck, but his gaze landed on the depths of a limitless ocean 1,000 miles away. At this moment, not good, I've been found. A shadow-like figure of death, like a shadow, swept out from the ocean of the void. Whoosh! Seeing that he had been found, the Death Guard turned into a dark streak of light that shot through the limitless ocean. My speed is comparable to a king's for a short amount of time. There's still hope for reinforcements. This Death Guard was ranked in the top 10 of the 36 Death Guards. As he flew, he used the token of death to send a message. With a spurt of energy, he flew nearly 10,000 li before he heaved a sigh of relief. We finally escaped. According to the latest news, the target of death has killed domain-level kings and even ambushed an emperor. The Death Guard murmured with lingering fear. However, right at this moment, a layer of scarlet lightning appeared in the sea of mist in front of him. It revolved around a young man with lightning wings and a sneer on his face. How is this possible? It's you. The Death Guard's expression changed dramatically. What kind of speed did the target of death have to have been waiting for him for a long time? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.